Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 328.
Regular show.
Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and
I can't believe we've never tried that. 328 episodes.
I can. One of us has a little restraint.
Oh God, that's not me.
Well,
I'm already 3 sips into my whiskey.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. Welcome everyone tonight.
We're celebrating tonight, Terry.
Are we? What are we celebrating?
That we're stuck with the Disc Golf Network and Pro Tour for 3 more years.
Oh, what were they thinking?
They got the raw deal.
Yeah, well, it should be a pretty good night tonight, actually. We're going to have a little catch-up session with Dynamite. We'll talk about some of the news and rumblings of things going around in the disc golf ecosystem and in the disc golf world. Not a heck of a lot in terms of big-time events this last weekend. I'll touch on one of them where I got a chance to quickly interact with the champion from the event. I'm talking about Greg Barsby. We had a brief conversation. He's exhausted after having a long weekend, and you want to talk about disc golf disc golf rich to another level. Wins a tournament this weekend. Yesterday, buys a new house. That's how big disc golf is getting.
There's I don't know if it's an urban legend, but Michael Caine, one of the greatest actors of all time, skipped out on the Academy Awards one year where he was nominated to film the movie Jaws 3 or 4, like
Okay.
a bad one.
Yeah.
And someone asked him, like, I think it was like his kid asked him, like, Daddy, why did you do this terrible movie? And he's like, I needed a new house. like that's the house I needed. And so that Jaws paid for his house is apparently like what he justified it as.
One of these days, I can't wait to slum it at a C tier and have that pay for my new car or something. I don't think we're there yet. But the man that helped us coin disc golf rich, none other than Dynamite, Dana Vicich. I think he's coming in hot from Illinois. Johnny, let's pull him up.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah, buddy. How you doing, man?
Good to see you, boys. Congratulations on the big deal. It's nice to be talking to a couple millionaires. Never in my life I thought I'd be on Smashbox.
Yeah, well, that's not happening.
No.
Just to throw it out there without getting too far in the weeds, and someone did bring up a point on the socials and said, hey, you guys should really talk about the details of your contract. You guys want that of all our players to talk about money and the details of their contract. And I didn't get a chance to reply directly. There's 2 points to that. One, we can touch on a few details, although they're not nearly as exciting as you think they are. And two, I personally, I'll double down on this. I love to know details of contracts just out of sheer curiosity. I don't feel like I'm entitled to them. Johnny feels different.
No, I don't think anyone's entitled to them. I think it's better for the sport if people know them. I'm not entitled to them though.
Yeah, to me, it's not necessarily public knowledge. Dana, where do you stand on that? You've got a couple of high-profile gentlemen that represent the team you work for.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, I think it's incredibly interesting, and as someone that's been around disc golf, it's fun to know, some of the details and numbers that the players are picking up. I reference you guys falsely being millionaires, unless there's something I don't know.
I'm working on it, Dana. I'm working on it. A little retirement fund, a little investing. We'll get there.
I'll rob a bank.
But I mean,
I'll rob Terry's storage. You could be a millionaire with the discs you have in storage. Like, not necessarily cash millionaire, but you got a lot.
I'm a plastic.
You're
millionaire.
plastic air,
maybe. Dana, do you go on?
I'm fine with it not being public at this time. I could see where we get to a point in the future, but like right now, it's fun to know and kind of talk about and then hear the rumors. I think it's more not knowing is more interesting than knowing, and kind of like guessing and talking about it and is that person really making $1 million? Are they getting what kind of signing bonus did they get? Is, what kind of money are the manufacturers throwing around, and what kind of money are these players picking up? And I think you can tell right now one thing by how many players are on tour over these last couple of years, that they're getting a little bit more money. It's not what it was 5 to 7 years ago. You're seeing a lot. There's a lot of great players, a lot of high-rated players that can win week in and week out and they're all getting salaries for the most part. And that, I'd say that's a good thing.
How much can we talk about our contract?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. What I want to follow that up, though, with, I think we could. Yeah. What I do want to follow that up with, Dana, specifically to our players, is it interesting, or will it just become the status quo, that it doesn't feel like a one-size-fits-all approach that we're going to see maybe within the teams? And let me quickly set that up in saying, for many years, when you thought about the Innova Star team or the Innova Champion member team, those were levels. Once the contract was out, it kind of seemed like everyone, was within that level on the contract, so on and so forth. I think that was always a baseline. Those are baseline details. I think they're probably like that when you're on the tour team for Discraft or whatever the case might be. There's baseline. But then I think about some really specific people. Simon and Eagle continually come to mind. It's just hard facts. Simon's not winning nearly as often as Eagle or a Paul are. But Simon's social media engagement and entertainment level may exceed that of the other two. I was going to say some or most weeks, whatever. You have just the sheer lovability factors and personality traits and all these different things. Do you feel like every contract is going to kind of be unique based on these individuals, and to the people that have almost no social media presence? Absolutely. And I'm not going to go as far as calling names out, but there's some elite level players, that aren't doing some of the other things that you see maybe a Simon or an Eagle do. And therefore their value, while they're winning events, they're not outspoken, they're not outspoken in person or on the social media channels. So their value may be different, even though they're a better player on the course. And so, there's all these, there's all these factors at play that can get you a couple extra bucks or not. And you could probably pick out some players on tour that are mid-level pros that are probably getting a decent paycheck monthly, and you say how are they getting that when they're maybe 10 to 10-20, but those players are out there doing all the extra stuff, building their brand and that their brand as a player and their brand that they represent. So therefore they might get that monthly stipend or monthly salary or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and I think about the engagement that some of them have, and then I guess maybe a follow-up question to all of that would be, we're at a point where some of the players obviously are commanding more eyeballs on coverage, and some of them, if they show up to your town, it means more. Whether that's just being in the event or they're doing a signing at the local plate again or at the local disc golf shop. And then I think about appearance fees, and there's just so many more bigger picture items that I think we're getting that much closer to as there's more money and we're getting more professional. Maybe we're in a beautiful spot right now, or maybe this is the calm before the storm. I'm not sure, but appearance fees, that's something that either indirectly or directly, I start thinking about what does that mean when a person shows up to your event or to your league or to your doubles, on Wednesday night because they're playing that weekend. Those are all interesting business factors, and the what Simon did with Discmania a few years ago, him and Eric Oakley and traveling around, Jamie Thomas, so on and so forth. All of those types of extracurriculars and what the value is on those McBeast challenges, the Sexton shootouts, whatever.
Yeah, that's built. I mean, that's all building their brand and then putting them in the position where they're at today to command the highest paid salaries, presumably in the game.
Okay. One quick side note. I appreciate the heck out of, I was able to consume a couple of Simon's Vlogmas videos the other night. I had him playing in the background while I was doing some work. And I appreciate the heck out of him and the understanding that he has with whomever. It's not petty. It's not petty in this in terms of the various disc manufacturers. He showed I think it was a Discraft disc that he had in his stack that was sent to him by someone. If he's got to use a mini made by somebody that's not Discmania, like there's not that. I'll call it petty or just tic-tacky little discrepancies or worries. If he's putting on a Chain Star Light basket someday, or any of the players are, it's because that's the basket that's available. I just want to say publicly, I really appreciate that when both the players and the manufacturers are all like, okay, we're all a big Frisbee family here.
It does seem like
let's
it's
not
a
get
little bit
nitpicky.
more free these days than it was 10 years ago. That's for certain.
Yeah, and they're just not as caught up in it. I mean, they're probably still, I don't expect Simon to show up in a Discraft T-shirt next week or anything like, we'll say that extreme, but
in a day when our players are switching sponsors more frequently than they did in the past. I mean, remember, it was a big deal when Juliana Bauer moved over from, everyone knows her as Corver, moved from Discraft to Innova.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was amazing. That no one ever believed that would happen. And that was the type of environment we lived in. Now, I mean, every 3 years, there's a major player switching manufacturers, if not 2 or 3.
What do you think about the change of environment, Dana?
With players these days?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's exciting for the fans. It's exciting within the disc golf world. Like I want to see. It was a story. When Paul switched over and Paige. Like, what are they gonna like? Even though I'm not super familiar with all the discs from all the companies, like, what are they gonna throw? Like, how long is it gonna take? Are they gonna win? Is it gonna be the X factor? Are they gonna be happier? Like, what is it gonna do to them? And and then on the flip side, other players, like, all right, is this a good move? Is this a short-term move on their part to try to get a few extra bucks where their game might take a step back with a certain company? And I don't know. Personally, it's fun. I think it's fun. It gives us something to do in these dark, cold months that we're in the middle of right now, and something to talk about on Tuesdays. But of course, I appreciate and love loyalty, but sometimes that's not always possible.
Yeah, it's very exciting times, and I look forward to more continued conversations. I don't know if we've got the official Ulta World, as they can be our the workhorse for us.
We're going to be on Ulta World tomorrow.
I wouldn't tell anyone that.
I want to drive down their viewership.
No, I was going to say check the Ulta World tracker, as I know they've been keeping tabs on all of our sponsorships. Is there anything that's jumped out at you? I'm going to kind of see if I can pull them up and look at any recaps. I think it was about this time last week, Haley King had extended with Discraft. I don't think anyone was wildly surprised by that. Of course, very smart for them to try and lock her down. Casey White, extension / promotion with Discmania. That's through 2022. And then Scott Withers made an announcement yesterday that he's going to be moving, but he didn't announce where just yet. What do you know? What do you know, Dana?
Well, a few weeks back, I saw him on one of the Discmania collector pages selling his thrower MD3s, like that were seemingly out of his bag, and that kind of raised an eyebrow. And then of course we see the announcement that he's parting ways. I've heard a few rumors of where he's going. I'm not gonna throw it out there, but interesting move. I've heard. Boy, I mean, he's not coming to Discmania. He was selling some Discmania products, so he's outside of the. He's leaving Innova, so he's outside of the Innova family. So is he going to go trilogy? We know that Dynamic Discs, they're, I don't want to offend anyone, but do they have that number one player on the MPO side? It's probably Clemens right now. Oakley's working his way up. They've got a lot of great players, but they don't have that 1040, 1050 rated player. I'm not sure if Scott is that person, since he's not going on tour, and his successes in the Northwest haven't always translated over to those large scale events. I certainly think that it can, and he's due for maybe a big win. And we saw him on the Lead Card Memorial. Was that 2 years ago? So he's no stranger to the big show. But anyways, Latitude, it seems Latitude's been pretty quiet these last few years after they kind of came on the scene, signed a ton of people. Now it's evident that they're focusing on their few stars that they have. Then that leaves MVP, which their team has been growing. That would certainly be a contender. That would, Scott runs events out in the Northwest, so to get a world-class 1040 plus rated player that has won 200 events or right around 200 events and runs events, that would be a big pickup for an emerging company like MVP. We've got Prodigy and Discraft. Can't forget Discraft, the behemoth that Discraft is now at. So a lot of viable options. My guess is it's probably MVP or maybe Prodigy. I don't see him going Latitude or Dynamic. I think Dynamic, when they do get that 1040 plus rated player, it's somebody that's going to be on tour. It's going to be out there every weekend.
Well, we know that Withers had said he wants to get out there. Withers wants to get out there.
Yeah.
I'm really rooting for, and it's not just because Emacs on the board. I'm really rooting for that DD team, because I'm always a fan of watching the players spread out. We have really great Innova players. We have like really great Prodigy, really great Discmania, really great Discraft, and honestly, DD is missing that top tier, like finish in the top 5 consistently pro. And I don't know if Withers is that guy, but I think if he went on tour, he's a top 10 no matter what. Like, he's in that 5 to 10 range that can always jump up there. You've got Clemens, but Clemens isn't quite as consistent. He's a phenomenal player, but you'll see him drop, 15th, 20th on occasion, and there are just some courses and events where he just does not kind of show up. I mean, I'm sure Withers would do the same thing, but I'm always rooting for that distribution of player wealth. Yeah, and hey, getting 10th through 20th, it's a common thing these days for our elite players. Like, it's not an uncommon thing to that's in this day of disc golf. It's pretty normal. We're not quite to the extremes that we see in, say, golf, where you might see a player win an event and then miss a cut a couple weeks later. We're not quite at that level, and I don't know if that's just a disc golf versus golf thing, or that their talent level is just so much larger. But and I hope no one takes offense to the conversation that we're having. No.
Nothing but respect for these companies and these players, and they're all much better than all three of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, and I'm just in case you're not following along the YouTube chat, I think it is worth mentioning that we do have Eric McCabe out on the board, and amidst this conversation of presumably Scott, EMAC chimes in with, "Don't forget, DD owns half of West Side." Smiley face emoji. So I don't know if they're dropping any hints.
Is Westside going to make another move? I mean, they picked up Nico.
Yeah,
a year ago now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just repeating something that we see on the board.
They could shoot for the bad boys of disc golf, like Scott Withers.
Yeah,
I don't know. I see it. Nico, West Side, Northwest, Withers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I follow that poll, but okay. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to throw it out there for all of our audio only listeners that just chime in. He could be just trolling along and or just throwing out facts and it could have no bearing whatsoever on the conversation. But it is worth repeating. I say so. Pretty cool.
Well,
okay.
That's certainly something someone to watch. Got to assume that those announcements are coming pretty quickly. When do I think we can usually tell, depending on the company, when does Innova's contracts historically run out? Is that end of calendar year, end of season, depending on the player?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it's December 1st or December 31st, and that's something else that has been really interesting to follow along throughout these last few years, of depending on how I think amicable these contracts are coming to an end as to when people are announcing that they're leaving, and or then we'll say can announce that they're joining a new team, and nothing other than just pure selfishness. I wish we December 1st was some magic deadline as opposed to the 31st, even though the end of the year makes way more sense. I understand that, but some players are like, well, I'm not playing any more events this year, so therefore as of this point it no longer matters. I don't know. What I think we have to then think about is for the players that maybe don't talk to one another. So let's just say Scott Withers is negotiating, he's thinking about something, he's maybe leaning one direction. And all of a sudden there's an announcement that comes out. Does that stop or prevent or thwart any other conversations by somebody else who was thinking, oh, hey, I might be going to that team, or hey, I was going to go after that team? I think there's an element of timing even here that some of these players, because our resources are pretty finite here within disc golf still. We're not we're not the NBA or some of these other major sports where it's like, oh, he got a contract. Well, that doesn't matter as much. I'm still going to get mine. I feel like sometimes, these manufacturers are going after a big fish or a big get, and that might negate 2 or 3 other pickups that they were looking at. So I don't know. Am I just speculating? Is timing not matter here, Dana?
No, timing certainly matters. And for those reasons, because we've got budgets, team budgets, and everything, and all that can go out the window if you all of a sudden find out that X player wants to come or wants to chat, and then that might cancel out a couple other signings that you've got in line. But yeah.
Okay. Well, Joe PG out of Florida is, I don't know how substantiated his sources or rumor is. He's also telling us on the board that Simon, I don't know where that came from. Kelvin is planning on starting his career. I'm guessing he means like his professional non-disc golf career.
I don't think that's decided.
I would guess it's not necessarily either, but I'm just, you say something on the board, I'm just going to repeat it because I'm that dumb.
Because I'll say this, whatever Kelvin's could probably be making in the open market, and we all know he's a extremely intelligent young man.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that he's going to be able to make that at disc golf by that in another year or so. That he should be He should be demanding a contract at the end of next year if he doesn't extend. That is easily 6 digits, 100 to 150,000 a year is what he should be demanding on the open market, based on some of the other numbers that I've heard whispered around about other pros. And that's kind of the level that we're at now. Maybe even more, because we know Macbeth is like a $250,000 guy, and if we're talking about him being, I don't think anyone's going to be the next Macbeth for a while, but he is that top tier player that can compete with Macbeth. Maybe it's more. I don't know.
Now, do you think? Now, this, I'm going to say it again, not to disrespect Vinny, as he's a world class, one of the best in the game,
and he'll beat you up.
Now, does he move the needle like a Paul Macbeth, even though he's of that caliber player?
It depends what he does.
He's hilarious in person, and he's a great personality. But right now, if you're talking about moving a sales needle, no, he could win 20. I'm going to say this: he could win all 20 events next year he plays in. He's still not selling a fraction of discs that Paul Macbeth are.
No. Paul, I don't think anyone's touching Paul that way.
I'm just saying,
if Vinny goes on an epic run this year, in 2021, and let's say he wins 4 of 6 national tours and 6 of 12 pro tour events,
sure,
he sells damn near as many discs as Macbeth.
No,
very
wrong.
That is
you're wrong.
That would be an epic run that people would be
give him all 20
for.
wins next year. Give him 20 wins. Let him go 20 for 20. He is still not selling, and I'm not trying to fluff Macbeth here, but Calvin wins 20 tournaments, and in 20 tournaments,
I think
he participates in next year. He's not selling as many Frisbees as Paul Macbeth.
I don't think he sells as many. I think he starts to get close. I think he hits that 80% mark, and I think because that would be an epic run that people would be so excited for something like that, like Macbeth 2015. I think if you throw a major or two in there,
sure.
But I'm saying that again, this is all rainbows and butterflies, because this has to be an epic run, and I think almost anybody goes on an epic run like that. Not just Calvin, almost anybody does that, and they start selling crazy amounts of plastic. So,
Macbeth has five or more, or 8 or 12 discs with his name on them.
Yeah,
ranging in different varieties and skill levels of discs and uses. He is too spread out, too invested, too ingrained in all of that, and too many opportunities. Then they throw a few special run blah blah blahs on it.
Yeah,
Calvin is just not touching it, and that's not a rip on Calvin.
No, that's
Calvin would be agreeing with me. He's going to call in and agree with me.
I know, but that's because
over
Paul has so. Okay, who's the next biggest seller? Sexton?
Lizotte?
No, okay,
Eagle?
We'll say Lizotte. I bet you if Calvin went on like that, he'd outshine Lizotte, who doesn't have as many. Paul's unfair because he has so many discs. He has his name on 27 discs. I'm not.
You're a sweet kid.
I don't care. I'm talking an epic run. That's the only way it happens. And I know Lizotte sells crazy Frisbees. You know as well as anybody, Dana. Lizotte is a machine. But all Vinny needs.
All he needs is the world's greatest season of disc golf of all time.
But I think,
and he might sell 80% of what Simon sells.
But I think that it's not just Calvin. I think you could almost say that for any player that goes on that type of epic run.
Okay.
And Vinny is already a little bit ingrained, established. If Double G did it, if Eagle did it, if I'm trying to think of another player that would, unless you are a flat out unknown. Like we'll say like a Jackie Chen, like who doesn't have that type of establishment. But any of our touring pros right now, it goes on a tear like that. I think it would turn the sport upside down.
I mean, it'd be a wild year.
It would be.
In terms of like moving the needle disc sales wise.
I think you could.
Well, any other of those names outside of the top 5, outside of Paul, Simon, Eagle, Sexton, like they're no way.
Yeah,
that's why Vinny's he deserves to get paid, but I don't see him as one of the max type deals like that we're seeing we're hearing about from Paul, Eagle, Simon, Sexton.
I disagree. Again, I think he's more valuable in Sexton. I think he's more valuable in Sexton right now Now we'll see what Sexton does this year. But I think he has the potential for the next 5 years to put up some crazy disc golf numbers. I think you sign Calvin and he demands that top tier salary. I think he does. He's like signing Giannis right now.
Yeah, I don't think we're arguing with how good he is. We're just saying he's not going to move but the Giannis plastic.
I don't.
We're talking about.
I think you signed potential
Outliers here, Johnny.
I know.
Nate Sexton, Paul Macbeth, Simon Eagle, Page. They all move the needle. Calvin throws frisbees better or as good as all of those guys, but does that translate into 5 signature molds and multiple releases in a year?
Not in one year. No, I think he would. It would crush. I think it truly would crush. Again, nobody's touching Macbeth. Period.
Yeah,
that's
we'll move on from here, and I will say, as the board, Dana nor I are suggesting Calvin is not a top tier player.
Of course,
just to be very clear,
I'm still saying he demands top tier money.
Calvin's also maybe my favorite interview. But,
he is awesome.
So there's no doubt about that. We're talking about moving plastic currently. I'm not second guessing his skill sets. And if you told me Calvin's going to win 12 out of the 18 events he plays next year, I would say okay. I think unlikely just because of sheer statistics, but I would be like, okay, I wouldn't necessarily argue with you.
Of course.
I'm just saying, even if he won 20 out of 20 events, he is not moving plastic. He is not the marketing machine that some of our other established, your Simons and your Pauls. He's not surpassing them. He's just not.
Yeah, think that's about the NBA. You got top 5 players in the NBA. You know, they're getting paid on their skills, like pretty much their skills alone. Where disc golf is, you're getting paid on your skills plus what else you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Whether that's writing poetry like Nate Sexton, which elevated him to stardom.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing the other things that make, I'm a huge Vinny fan. I would buy his discs.
We all are. We're all huge Vinny fans. We don't need to say it. Like we're not insulting anybody when we talk about it. We love everybody. I'm saying that Vinny, there's probably 4 players right now that really have crazy potential in our sport. There's Eagle, there's
Page.
KJ. What was that?
Go on, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just talking MPO. I mean, Page is a phenomenal. But like Eagle, KJ, Calvin. Clearly Paul, but he's already got the things. I don't know.
He's the ripe old age of 27.
Yeah,
USDGC champ, second or third highest rated in the world.
You have to assume the problem is, he has.
He has really long drives and automatic putting. Yeah, nerves of steel. Yeah, he's hit a ceiling.
I don't know. I didn't say that. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
There's. I love Cedic, but there's not the. For some reason, there doesn't seem to be the drive in him that we see in the other players. And maybe that's because he chooses to relax on tour.
I just don't think you see him in the same way.
Maybe I don't, and that's a good chance.
Missing that.
But those other players have personality, and what, like it or not, everyone says Vinny has no personality. Having no personality is his personality, and people love it.
Yeah.
So I think those type of players you sign to what we would call a max deal based on what their potential is in the next 5 years. Like because you can't let a talent like that get away. You can't. KJ, you could go Cedic, you could say Eagle. Even Simon, I don't know if Simon sells discs, but and that's the reason you keep him. You don't keep him because he has crazy disc golf talent, like on the course. He has a potential to win a major at any given time, but he's shown that that final drive, that final gear hasn't hit him yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever will. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. He's got 1 major and 2 NTs or 2 Pro Tours.
I don't know. That's math. All right, Dana, here's what we're going to do. We are going to briefly rewind or backtrack, I should say, into something a little more traditional rather than this other topic. Let's go a little more traditional with your role of talking about this weekend's action.
Woo!
Sans A tiers. I know we didn't have stuff that's jumping off of the PDGA schedule necessarily. However, there were a few significant events, and we still see a few of our top tier players out there playing, whether it's because it's their hometown or there's some big money on the line. I can think of one. Was there anything that you looked at thus far, or do you want me to lead the charge in what we saw this weekend?
Yeah, I peeped a few events. One that jumps out. It's a long-standing annual event out in South Carolina. Excuse me. Of course, I'm talking about the Tupelo Bay Invitational presented by Innova. They're playing on a golf course all weekend. Looks like a really fun event. It's a 3-round event, and usually get some big names there. This year, just a few. One name that surprises me is Barry Schultz. Traditionally, Barry has been at this event, and traditionally usually loses to Germ at this event. And if he played this year, good chance he may have lost to Germ, because Germ played some really solid disc golf. He had kind of a poor first round, shooting a 78. It was 10-11 rated. They were playing 27 holes. Germ was 8 throws behind Nathan Queen, who popped off a 70, 10-61. So pretty smoking round. I think par was 93 on that first round, and Nathan Queen shot a 70. Johnny, do you got your calculator handy?
Sure, in my head.
Wow. Just 23 under par on that first round? I mean, yeah, go on.
23 under par. Smoked it. But then Big Germ had something to say rounds 2 and 3. He went 70, 69. And I saw a social media post from Germ talking about how many eagles he picked up over the weekend and how it was some sort of record or something. I don't know. Par must be soft out there. But anyways, Germ shredded. Went 10.55, 10.58 over the rounds 2 and 3 to win by 2 throws over Nathan Queen. Germ did beat Nathan by 3 throws that final round, so Germ was not in the lead going into that last round. Finishing third, Jonathan Burns, Jason Lynn finishing fourth, and then over on the women's side, we had 4 FPO players, and kind of a surprise to me. Rebecca Cox was out there, and she was playing some pretty good disc golf. She came out, shot a really strong first round, 968, distanced herself from the field. Hope Brown was in second place after that first round, and then Rebecca didn't let up from there. Ended up winning by a lot of throws. I would need a calculator for that as well. But Hope Brown finished in second place. Victoria Griffiths, in third, and Diana Parsi finished in fourth. And then we got to mention it, the king, one of my heroes, one of the greatest. I would pay this man some money if I was a manufacturer. Brian Schweberger, 56 under par. Kevin Gleason finishing second at 40 under par. Schweb played some really strong disc golf. Got himself the victory there. Congratulations to him. What are we, Terry? What are we at?
285.
Okay.
285 victories. That is his 699th PDGA event. So he's looking to pick up number 700 here, and he'd love to go to 286. I don't know if you divide 286 over 700, what that winning percentage is if he would win his 700th event. But yes, Schwebby doing some work this weekend. Also see him out on the board. 286 out of 700. If he does, that would give him a 40.9 9 winning, or we'll just round that up to a 41% winning percentage of events played if Schwebe were to pull off a victory in his 700th sanctioned event. So nice work, Schwebe. I saw you out on the board a little earlier. I know you're sticking around. We said your name. You can leave now if you need to, but no, we love you, buddy, and congratulations on another victory this weekend. Doing some work out there. Pretty incredible, Dana. I mean, to be fair, there are plenty of people who won't play 285 sanctioned events maybe in their career. I mean, obviously super serious tour players will, but most of your like Joe amateurs and Joe pros may not play 285 events in their career. And Schwebe has now taken down that many out of the 699. And now let me follow that up briefly for some that may not know. North Carolina and that area, and there's pockets around the country that were a lot more like this back in the day as well. And this was a little bit of yesterdecade. A lot of tournaments that someone like Schwebe has played, you're talking 4 rounds over 2 days. Now, that trend has reduced. So you go back 10, 15, 20 years, it was very common to see 3 or 4 rounds over 2 days. At one point, a single day 2-round B or C tier became very popular. And then that's when you see whether it was a Schwebe or a Emerson Keith, that's how they could rack up, 50 or 60 or 70 PDGA sanctioned events in a given year, because sometimes they could play a B tier on Saturday and a B tier on Sunday, and that's just how they've what we've grown into, which does, in my opinion, make a lot more sense in terms of flexibility. I think more days should be reserved for larger tournaments. Personally, it's a bigger commitment. There should be bigger money, but a lot of those events, and maybe Schwebe's got a notebook and a pad of paper that can, or his abacus here, and can tell us, but a lot of those events early on, you're talking grinding out 4 rounds of golf to pick up a victory. And I don't know if I can say much more about it, but congratulations, Schwebe. Nice work. Sounds like we're going to...
I think I saw he's going to be back at it again this weekend, right?
I think that sounds right. I know I saw him make a post. Let me click on him. He is PDGA, just so everyone knows out there, PDGA 12989. And he's competed in a ton of open events this year, which he's won quite a few. And then he's won all but 2 Masters events that he's competed in this year as well. So 14 out of the 16 Pro Masters events he's competed in, he's won. And as you're saying, the CADL presents the Kirch Lendings Duo Vulu Pro. Okay. This weekend in Cary, North Carolina. Pretty crazy.
Also, speaking of North Carolina, I think there was a number of events there, but this one jumped out to me because of the payout. It was a B tier pro-am. It's only 2 rounds, so a little rare for North Carolina. But the Open at Peachtree Hills, driven by Innova, and didn't have a very large field. 14 total MPO players. Winning that was Philip Bartholomew. He's 1,005 rated pro out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Matthew Thompson finished in 2nd. Dan Brooks Wells coming up from Pennsylvania, or did he relocate? Anyways, Dan Brooks Wells, who we saw, what event was that?
Maple Hill.
Year?
Maple Hill, I feel like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maple Hill played really well there. He also tied for 2nd with Matthew. Dan Hastings notably finished in 5th. But first place, Philip took home $1,000, and then the tie for 2nd netted both those guys $580. So pretty strong payouts all the way down to 6th place. Scott Conway picked up $200 for his 6 out of 14 finish. And speaking of Barry earlier, how I was surprised that he was not at the Tupelo Bay. Barry was for good reason. He stayed and played this event, played in Masters, 6-person field, won by 4 throws over Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman, which I believe used to be a really solid 1,000+ rated player back in the day, took some time away from disc golf. Really good player. But anyways, Barry won the Masters and picked up $600. Mike Hoffman finished in second, $400. So I'm not sure who was doing the fundraising, if it was tournament director Christopher Brandt or somebody else, but they sure did a heck of a job there. Those were some big payouts.
Yeah, I mean, and you compare that, and now I don't know if it was a financial decision or if it's just a course preference or if it's timing. Barry having a new addition to the household with a little one. You look at Tupelo Bay, that's 3 rounds of 27 holes. That's clearly going to consume a lot of your time playing those 3 rounds, even if you're getting as many eagles as Colling's claiming. But you compare that 3-day expenditure of time and $295. Clearly this event is not just about the payout, but Colling takes on Open for $295. Schwebe gets $245 for winning Pro Masters, and then like you said, comparing that to Barry's $600 for we'll say a lot less time put in terms of out on the course doing work, and that could have been an event of convenience, so to speak.
Yeah. Being able to, if he's able to stay home and just drive there in the morning, drive back, and be done with it. Where you're going up to Myrtle Beach, and that's a tourist area, so you got to imagine it's you're paying a couple bucks, eat out, and all that jazz. And they're playing at a golf course, which does command higher fees. And if they're using golf cart, that's where a lot of it comes out of the purse. Not to say that they're low payouts or anything, but when you have to pay so much to use the course, then it's got to come from somewhere. But smart move, seemingly, if we're looking at it strictly financial for Barry to stay and play there.
Yeah, Schwebe on the board says, Tupelo is for the fun. He said Peachtree was 20 minutes from my house. So he went and played the Tupelo event, even though the other one was 20 minutes from his house. So, again, everyone's got their making their decisions. Now, I want to swing over to one of the larger payouts that you'll find for a C tier, I'm guessing, in terms of how it all went down. Dana, did you get any details or keep your eye on the So-So Classic taking place over in Texas, Timpson, Texas? The invite only, which I think is another conversation piece.
I saw some rumblings of that on social media a while back when Miles was, I think, organizing it or promoting it. It sounded interesting, and I did not catch, aside from the winner posting on social media, but I didn't take in the full results.
Yeah, so I'll kind of tap into this briefly. Miles Seaborn reached out to me a week or two ago, said, hey, I'm going to run in invite only. We're going to invite, I don't know exactly what his criteria was. Obviously, some really solid players. I think there were maybe 10 or 12 rated above 1,000. And was going to put it on. There was going to be coverage. I'm not sure who they said ultimately came and covered it, but there will be coverage that's going to be released. And they had, I'm going to give you some details. There was 2,200 added cash, including 1,500 of it coming from the city. So huge shout out to them. And like you were just saying, it was Miles Seaborn, who was the tournament director. And then Casey is actually the assistant TD. We've seen her before here on the show. That is Greg Barsby's girlfriend, and she was listed as the assistant TD. He said, I'm just going to read a few quotes. This feels weird to do because we never do research, but I did talk to Barsby today, and he sent me a few details saying that Miles and I were within 2 strokes all day. It came down to the wire. There was some good golf all around, but he had a 1080 and 1,071 rated rounds. Basically, it was a 2-horse race because they were off to the races. Those two were. He said that this is Miles' home course that he plays quite often, saying he's probably played it 300 times as opposed to Barsby, who's played it 4. And it's a great course, 9 baskets, but an 18-hole layout, and that there will be coverage sometime before Christmas. So, and here's maybe, aside from all of those other accolades, Greg Barsby, world champ, says it's a beautiful course and possibly one of the best 9-hole tracks I've ever played. It's at least in the top 3. So I think that clearly says a lot about, if Greg Barsby's giving you that kind of accolades and recognition for a course. Some may say, well, I don't bother with 9 holes. Well, clearly this is one. If you're anywhere in that area, it sounds like one you should stop at and check out. So not too shabby though. 2,200 added, and at the end of the day, Greg Barsby taking home $1,200 for first, and then Miles Seaborn, the TD, 1 stroke behind him, like we just said, $850 for second place. Big stakes. Is that where we need to go? I think the entry fee was quite reasonable.
Wasn't it $100?
$100
a person, maybe.
Okay. 39 open players. That sounds pretty like a pretty good day out there, doesn't it, Dana?
Yeah. I mean, especially for like Miles wanting to run an event and make it so he could play and compete at his home course and bring people out. And an easy way to do that is a pro only, high dollar, get some added cash, and you'll have people knocking on your door for an invite. And I always like catching some of these events in Texas, California, and all that, and scrolling through and seeing all the different 1,000 rated players. I used to have a pretty good idea of who was 1,000 rated. Like, you could say a name, and I would say, yeah, that person is, and I could usually tell you where they're from. But that's another story. But yeah, this one, scrolling through, had a lot of really good players, and then it had some names I don't quite recognize that are north of 1,000. So pretty cool stuff. Good idea by Miles. Get some late season action going, some high stakes disc golf, and it sounds like it might be one to tune in and watch that whenever that post produced coverage comes along, because it sounds interesting with 9 hole, it only being a 9-hole course. We don't see a whole lot of events on 9-hole courses, if any. So, and especially if it's a battle between, 2 of our better players. Sounds like a fun watch.
Yeah. Barsby said lots of good lines out there. He said the course favors a good thrower with dexterity. I'm not going to lie. I don't understand. I don't know what he meant by that. And then I just clarified and said, so you like the course? And he said, for sure. And it's beautiful and so on and so forth. But I didn't follow.
That's how I describe Barsby to everybody.
Okay.
It's got dexterity.
Yeah. 18 tees, 9 baskets is the clarification to make there. So Dana, that does bring us to the question, and you saw it on social media. Invite only. It's funny. Is it funny? We have all these quote unquote invitationals. Isn't the Tupelo Bay, wasn't that even called an invitational? But yet, by default, when an event gets posted, and if you are eligible to compete in it, you're then eligible to sign up for it. Barring any kind of ratings scales. But this was like I'm under the impression it's just straight invite. Like, he had to call you and say you can come play. Do you have an opinion on that concept?
Oh man, for it to be a PDGA and be a true invite like that, not based on, I don't know if you could apply or reach out to Miles to see if you could play, but it certainly seems like an interesting format. And I don't want to question the legality of it, because it was obviously legal for him to host as a PDGA event. I generally see true invitationals as unsanctioned events, or like it's kind of surprised me to see a C tier as an invitation. Have it, why sanction it is my question. But there's reasons to sanction it, because
Insurance and stuff like that.
Insurance is a real driving force and why you should sanction an event. But interesting. And
well, Mr. Todd Lyon on the board, Mr. PDGA, says, by the way, pure invitational aren't quite legal per the competition manual. You can set registration tiers instead, high ratings, register first, et cetera, but pure invitationals aren't exactly legal. So I think maybe maybe Mr. Miles skirted
scratch all this. This is
kind of skirted the rules just a little bit.
Miles, I did just reach out to him, wondering as we were kind of all arriving at this conclusion. He said some small issues. I'd like to have Miles and Todd just talk, but small issues. But we worked it out with the PDGA. And he said he invited every 1,000+ player in Texas and surrounding states first. So that's how they were kind of arriving at.
So Miles loophole Seaborn.
No, trying to, I think, make it as prestigious as he could, but yet still trying to follow the lines. And I'm sure there was a little lesson learned. Now, I guess I could ask him outright. If anyone was ultimately turned away, my impression would be that no one really was at the end of the day, which would probably be maybe the silver lining here. But it is a little bit of maybe a learning opportunity for all of us, or anyone that's thinking, hey, I want to host an event, but I want it to have this unique style or format or exhibition. Maybe inquire with the PDGA and talk through a few of those details. So, okay, nice payout though. I didn't get an invite, but I don't think it would have mattered.
Miles, I like him. He's a really good disc golfer. Seen him. Trying to think, we haven't probably seen him on a lead card in a while.
Wow, I mean, if you want to start throwing shade around, that's fine.
No. Like I'm just saying, like he's not playing as many big events. God, it's hard to have conversations on here and not.
I'm just trying to bury Dana.
All right, and he's saying there will be post-produced coverage on Disc Golf Course Preview, which is a media company's name. Disc Golf Course Preview. I think somewhere I saw something else they had released recently, but that's going to be a newer media, disc golf media production company, and they go by the name of Disc Golf Course Preview.
I don't like their name. Change your name.
I think it's going to get confusing.
Yeah,
I will say that much.
It's very close to Disc Golf Course Review, which is the website.
And if it's Disc Golf Course Preview and we're watching something from last week, it could get confusing. But I'm not telling anybody how to run their business. What do I know?
Post view?
I don't know. All right, Dana. So let's jump back over to maybe an original topic on hand. We won't try and get too far into the weeds because I don't think there's too many secrets. But to the full circle back to our exciting news this week, that one of the components was that we have entered into agreement with Disc Golf Network / Disc Golf Pro Tour. Johnny V and I, a.k.a. SmashBoxxTV, will be the live production backbone.
Kind of.
Sure. We'll be involved.
Things have changed a little bit. But.
We'll be involved in helping continue to produce, just as we have mainly for the last 5 years, continue to produce the live streaming content that people are seeing on Disc Golf Network. And it's of course, very exciting. And I would like to just first and foremost say, I feel like if this announcement wasn't made, hopefully we would have just all assumed next year things were good and the year after things were good. This I feel like just shows to the world a little bit more of a professional commitment from the entities, being Smashbox and Disc Golf Network and Disc Golf Pro Tour. And of course, we're really excited about it. So thank you to all the people that have reached out and sent any form of congratulations or excitement for it. And I'll cut you right off on your question, Dana. No, this doesn't change anything with Jomez and post-production from our perspective. Whether the Pro Tour was giving us $1 billion or charging us $1 billion week in and week out, or any other terms, we have nothing to do. We see, of course, we know and love Jomez, as does the rest of the world, but that was probably one of the number one questions is, well, what does this mean for Joe? It has nothing to do with us in any way, shape, or form. I know the Pro Tour is continuing to talk to Jomez and continuing to work out all the details in terms of post-production, along with other post-production teams, but in terms of us, it really is no different than what it was last year or 2 years before that. So just wanted to throw it out there.
Well,
Dana?
congratulations. It wasn't that long ago that you were like fired on your own show.
Oh, those were the days. Those were the days.
We actually have it in our new contract that if we're fired, it has to be on the show. So if Jeff ever wants to get rid of us, he needs to come onto the show
right here and
fire
do it.
us in person.
Yep.
That's one of Terry's riders along with green M&Ms.
Yep. Yeah, those are the things. If you're gonna do the deed, you got to face the music for the rest of the disc golf community.
Would be so great. We should really ask him to put that in the contract. Can you amend that, please?
Yes.
Call your lawyers.
Along with that, in other exciting news, to follow up to today. If anyone's got questions, we can answer them. But follow that up to today. Disc Golf Network and the Pro Tour announcing we're going to have more live broadcast,
working with the PDGA and the National Tour,
and potentially a couple of the majors to bring you guys more live disc golf. And of course, there's a tiny little asterisk there that states, where available and where, technology allows. We did not go to Milo last week and plant 9 new cell phone towers we hope to grow by June. So we're going to continue to test. There are 6 stops on the national tour. We know one for sure is great because it's GBO/Dynamic Disc Open, and we've been there for the last 4 or 5 years. The other 5 stops are stops we haven't broadcast from yet. And of course, some show more potential than others, but we're hoping to be live at every possible one or at least producing content.
Cool. That should be a fun challenge for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are didn't really realize when a lot of the NTs were listed that it will take a literal miracle for us to be live at Milo. So we are working with some other options at some of the other courses, but having been there, and I think we've all been there at some point, it's just a dead zone, and maybe we'll do a studio show, maybe we'll do like an interview show of some sort, but getting around that course, I don't see the logistics happening. Now, obviously, we're going to do our best and try whatever we can try. If there's a reasonable way to do it, we will look into it and try to work out the technical issues. But man, that's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. What do you think of coverage, Dana? And maybe you're biased, maybe you're not, but what do you think of live coverage potentially coming at you upwards of 20-plus weekends a year in the year 2021?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of disc golf. And, man, I'm happy for you guys, happy for disc golf fans, because I can't watch every weekend, but that's nice for me because then maybe the next week I can catch some of the early rounds, or I can catch, whatever it is, like I'll be able to consume more disc golf. So I'm happy about that. But I won't, it's a heck of a lot of disc golf to be, to sit and watching versus working or playing disc golf. So
yeah. And as dumb as this might sound, coming from me, does having 20-plus weekends water down any experience? Because we used to be really reserved for only a couple events. Of course, we expanded. Then we had then of course getting on board with the Pro Tour, and we've had 10, 12 opportunities, maybe 14 at most over these last few years. So now go up into the 20s. Does that water down any other one experience because it's so much more commonplace?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're with the rate that disc golf has grown and the Pro Tour and the quality of the coverage and everything, it only makes sense to offer it at more events and shine a light on those events and bring more eyeballs. It's a plus. I can't see it any other way as a plus. That I'm just thinking about the first time through though. You guys are so familiar with, let's say, Maple Hill, where you can go, where you can't go. You're gonna have X amount of new events that you're essentially gonna have to learn, like a player. You're gonna have to go out there and, all right, got a signal here, got a signal there. Don't go there. That's a dead spot. Stay on this side of the fairway. Like that. Is that something that you guys will have to do, or that you do it at events, especially new live events? Like, how do you, what is a new one that you'll be covering next year, and how do you approach that as the live?
We'll use Iron Hill
for Texas State.
Yeah, Iron Hill and Texas State, for example. Iron Hill, as noted on the board, does have a cell phone tower literally like right at the entrance of it. I've done some speed test in Iron Hill just with my phone in years past for being there for the NT, and it looked like the speeds were really good. So as that may be arguably one of the longest wooded courses of the entire year, we might just have the greatest dumb luck that there's a cell phone tower that we can rely on that is right next to the park. But even if that's the case, there's always the potential of you go out and you walk through all 18 holes, but on hole 7, if you go, another 20 feet down this hillside, or you go right to the basket on 10, I'm just making things up, maybe the signal's really bad there, but 20 feet in front of it, it's fine. And that still even happens to this day at established events, as you're saying. We know at Maple Hill we can only walk so far on 13, or we can only walk out so far on 11 before we lose signal. And those are things that have just come with experience. So those will be things we're going to test ahead of time, of course. But even that day, you could be like, okay, here I am. I'm standing right behind the basket on hole 6. Everything looks good. And then you're like, well, no, it's getting pixelated. Okay, tomorrow let's not stand behind the basket on 6. That's just a bad spot to stand.
And you never know where a play. You might get someone like me on the card shanking a shot. Who knows where, and no signal.
Yeah, the no signal zone.
That's where Dana tends to throw the no signal zone.
So, those are good thoughts, and those are things that we're going to have to work through. Again, our camera crews, at least to some degree, and I've been very familiar with being at De La in general, being at GBO, being at Milo, being at Iron Hill. I think the newer courses and venues are really in Nashville and Texas States. Just because I know Texas State's is an event that rotates to various facilities year after year, so that one's probably the freshest. And then Music City Open is one that I did not attend a couple years ago, but that'll be the other fresh one for me, so to speak. So there'll be a little bit of learning for everybody, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. And along those lines, it was announced that the Disc Golf Network is actually raising their prices.
Yeah, that's how we're making money. Give me money. All of that goes to us, right?
That's part of the contract. That's part of my contract. I did not put that in yours. Okay. I'm sorry. No,
we got to start paying Dana more.
He's clearly not spending it on razors as he covers up his camera. No, the Disc Golf Network is raising the rates starting January. It's going to go up $1 a month. Basically, I think it was $4.99 if you're a PDGA member now.
Yeah, it will be.
It will be, yes, come January.
Yes.
It's going to be $75 a year, or I believe $9.99 a month if you're not PDGA members. Like I said, if you are a PDGA member, it will be $4.99 a month, which I think last year it was technically $4.50 a month because it was something weird because they got 50% off, and so it's not an exact ratio, but it is going up about $1 a month, or $10 if you buy the annual.
$1 a month. So $10 to $12 total dollars on the whole year, not $1 every single month. Todd, we appreciate your literal sense. No, it's not $5 one month, $6 the next, and $7.
No, it does. No, that's not it. That's not it, Todd. Thank you for clearing that up. So here's your hot tip. Here's your Smashbox hot tip. Sign up for the year in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because that gives you this year's pricing through all of next year.
That's your Smashbox hot tip tonight. Go and take care of that now. Really work over the DGPT.
Yeah, if you want to get yours. All right, Dana. So final thought or question before we let you go here tonight. In talking and thinking about some of our modern day Masters aged superstars, where can a Steve Rico, a Brian Schweberger, a Barry Schultz, a Johnny Mcrae, Pat Brown, Scott Stokely type, where can they get their most bang for their buck exposure wise? And I ask in terms of, do you feel like winning or performing very well at Masters Cup or the Music City Open in a age protected division that they offer as part of the A tier, is that the place where they're going to get more exposure and or recognition, or finishing not quite at the top in Open? Maybe they finish in a 15th or an 18th or a 23rd.
Well, I was going to say,
in a much larger field.
Let's say the money is the same. What's worth more spectator-wise or fan-wise? Winning the Masters or winning in the Masters field, or taking 8th place in Open? I think that's a...
Yeah, I guess that would boil down to if they were on the lead card coverage, if they're on the Disc Golf Network live, if they're on post-produced, like you're going to get the exposure, the media exposure more often than not out of them, when you're playing in the MPO field. So if they sneak a round or two on some sort of post-produced coverage, especially Smashbox or Jomez or Central, any of the top, that's going to be worthwhile for their brand. But not getting a if they go win Masters, even though it's less money, not catching a bonus, it's all, I'd say at that point, if you're not getting on any post-produce coverage in the MPO division and turning some heads, it's not worthwhile.
Okay, so I was just going to follow up your example. So someone goes, they're not on a feature card first round. They're in 13th place. What is that? Third card, fourth card. They're in 13th place. They remain there for the weekend. They see no post-production coverage at any point in Open. You think it's more valuable they go take first or second potentially in Masters? And I know valuable is a very subjective term here. That's why this is a pretty open conversation. But that question was posed to us tonight, earlier today, to Johnny and I, is where will the most exposure, notoriety, publicity, where will that come from? Will it come from playing well, really well, and finishing in the top in an age-protected division, or rolling your dice somewhere in Open?
It's got to be, it's got to be in the MPO division and them getting on the lead card. Even if they don't win it, if they're on the lead card for multiple rounds, that's going to give them much more exposure and be better for them and their sponsors.
We'll go extreme, just like we did with Calvin earlier, without dipping back into that. You can finish in 13th in Open at every Elite Series event this year, or you can take second in Masters at every single corresponding event in Masters. what's better for you and your and the company you represent?
MPO.
You agree with that, Dana? MPO, 13th and MPO every weekend?
I don't know. That sounds like a dumb question, but
Okay. That's fine. We can move on.
I don't know. That's a tough one because I mean 13 again. It's all to me where I'm seeing it's all about the the media. If they're covering 3 cards and you're catching a few thousand views, then that's almost the equivalent of a second place Masters finish. And I don't want to diminish what it means to get first or second in Masters.
Of course not.
Great accomplishment and most likely a bonus at these large events. So I would say the second going flush with second place is better.
Okay. Well, it'll be, we'll continue to see how it plays out and what some of those players, what's more important to them. And if it's just pure competition and they're not caring about sponsors, they're not caring about bonuses and exposure, and it's just raw competition, that may drive them one spot or another, whether they, want that, to be vying for that W every single weekend versus, having a much more stout field. And to be fair, I mean, I'm naming, some of the greatest players of all time, and it is no disrespect to them finishing in 8th place when we talk about how tough the competition is. I guess go ahead.
Let's take Johnny Mcrae, for instance.
Uh-huh.
He's somebody who could probably go out and get first or second at every single Masters event,
mm-hmm.
but plays in the MPO division. Is that our answer? We do see him on the lead cards. It's not always the 13th, the 20-something finish, which he does find himself in. But I'd say, looking at players, Johnny would be someone to consider because he's on tour and he's making those decisions on which division to play in. And in his case, MPO is the place to be. But for me, if they're not cracking those lead cards, then go run table on those Masters.
All right, fair enough. And then naturally, anytime they are in MPO, and if they're doing well, the story gravitates always right to their age, which is sometimes fair, maybe not, maybe that gets old, but it immediately will gravitate. I wasn't even going for the pun. It does gravitate to their age because I am the first one to say, yeah, Johnny's eligible to be playing in a different division or two or whatever, and here he is, one stroke off of the lead with the best players on the planet. I mean, unfortunately that I don't want to say that narrative is all too easy, but it's also amazing at the same time. So it's there in front of us.
We're talking with the talent that's coming up. Like we're going to see cards with Johnny Mcrae and Kyle Klein battling it out. It's like you have to talk about it because Johnny is so he's such an amazing player and has been so for so long.
Yeah,
I think I got in trouble years ago for misguessing his age.
He's a really good golfer. I'm not going to nobody needs to guess it. All right, Dana, is there anything else that you want to chime in or discuss or bring up on your own volition here tonight?
I think the only thing I've got is I saw some sad news out of Tennessee with Zach Melton. Sounds like he's got a knee injury, and due to COVID, he's not able to get into a hospital to get his knee fixed up very soon. I didn't read all the comments and everything, but kind of caught that post earlier today. So I did want to revive the big hug for my friend Zach. Love to see him get that surgery and get healthy and back out there. I know he's had a tough year playing wise and probably in part to the injury. So big hug, Zach. Get healthy, hang tough. Me and all of your other fans will be here waiting for you to get back out there playing and smiling.
We of course echo that sentiment, and Zach graciously was one of our top players out there that was very quick to congratulate us on our exciting news as well, and just all around great guy and an amazing spirit out there on the course. So nothing but love and quick hopes of recovery for him or management maybe at this point, whatever he's got to do to feel as pain-free as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure whatever it's going to do whenever he goes in for that surgery, it's going to be a couple months recovery time.
Yeah.
And so to get him in sooner than later will be much, much better. And I offered Terry to do the surgery, but
I can do that at a discount. Give me a knife.
What forgive me, I can't recall what injury it was and what injury Ulibarri had. Is it the same or
I'm not 100% sure because Yuli had like 2 different injuries at different times. I know Zach has a slightly torn meniscus, and I think Yuli had that as well at some point. I don't know the severity of it, but I mean you have to assume that there's going to be some pretty severe, I don't want to say severe, but significant recovery time, and with a player like Zach, that even 4 months, that puts you, if you can't get until February, that puts you into the middle of the season. You probably miss Worlds. You probably miss, a lot of things. So,
well, big hug from all of us here at Smashbox, and one of the good ones out there. So,
yeah.
But I think I've yawned my quota for the night. I'd love to say it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
You can lie.
Yeah, we lie to you all the time. It's all right.
Yeah, Dana, we want to have you on tonight.
I see it. I always know when you guys strike out, and I get the T-Dog late on a Tuesday.
Dana, how long can you fill for?
No. To be fair, knowing things were a little slow and knowing we haven't checked in with you, I was good with us not hunting down anyone specific tonight, and kind of just playing a little catch up. And I'm quite glad that we've done such. So, you're not my third or fourth rate guest, Dana. You're
second.
You're always welcome.
Second rate.
You're always welcome.
Thanks. Well,
as long as you want to talk.
All right, I appreciate it, and again, hope no one's upset about our early conversations. We love you all, and please don't send me hate mail or
don't worry,
fans.
They do not hear the pre-show, so nobody's going to be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dynamite. Well, as always, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for all the insight, and thanks for agreeing with me whenever Johnny V's wrong. That makes me feel better as well.
So,
all right, have a good night.
I'm just doing some Austin Hannum hot takes.
We'll maybe catch and check up with you later. All right, Dynamite, and
we're gonna take a quick break.
Yes, we are.
We are gonna have thanks to Ace Run Productions, they have a one disc, one tip segment for us with Ricky Wysocki.
Boom.
Which I don't believe we've seen yet. So this is a few minutes of Ricky doing his one disc, one take with Ace Run Productions.
See you in a minute.
Hey guys, it's Felix with Ace Run Productions. We're back with another one disc, one tip segment. Today we've got a man that needs no introduction, a two-time world champion, end of a sponsor pro, Mr. Ricky Wysocki. Ricky, thanks so much for taking the time out to film this segment with us. Just a couple quick questions. Fans want to know, how long have you actually been playing the sport of disc golf?
So I'm playing for about 11 years total. I've been playing professional for about 9 of those years. So 2 years amateur in between my amateur and pro jump. So I've had a lot of experience out on the, I went pro, 9 years after playing, and got right into the touring life and started touring and traveling the world 2 years after I started playing.
So obviously you've won some big majors. You're sponsored by Innova now. Thinking about your bag, if you could pick out one disc that you think will make an impact from somebody's game from beginner all the way up to pro, what disc would that be?
It's got to be the Pro Pig. I think it's a very versatile disc. You can throw it sidearm, you can throw it backhand. You have to really learn how to throw different angles and how to train your wrist to throw anhyzer, flat, and hyzer. And this disc will do that really well, sidearm and backhand. And like I said, that's why I like it so much, is because it has a good grip for no matter which way you're throwing it, and really consistent, really durable shots, and it holds up in the wind really well.
Yeah, we've seen you working some magic with that all throughout the country, so obviously it's working for you. Switching gears real quick, you've got a wealth of experience, the length of term you've been playing. If you could hone in on one tip that you think can help somebody's game, whether on mental side, physical side, anything, what do you think that tip would be?
I think it'd be maximize your practice. I think that you got to go out there, you got to change things. If you're making mistakes, make adjustments, and really dial in how you can develop positive muscle memory. If you're doing the same thing, that's muscle memory, but it's not muscle memory doing the right thing. So if you have to change something, I'm always change something. I'm a top player. I change things with my game all the time. You have to change stuff for the better. Sometimes you have to take one step back to take 2 steps forward. And when you're changing things, sometimes that's what happens. You get worse before you get better. So don't be afraid to change stuff. Make tweaks and see what works, see what doesn't, and you can move forward and get a lot better doing that.
Refreshing to hear. A lot of people say, just stick to what you're doing, stick with what works. You got to experiment to get better. I like that, especially taking a couple steps back to kind of move forward again.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're an amateur, a beginner player, or a top professional player. Everyone in between, I think, can take that advice and apply it to your practice.
There you go. Sound advice from a world champion. Doesn't get much better than that. Ricky, if these guys want to follow along with you on your social media journey, where can they do that?
SakiBomb13, that's my Instagram. I use that. I'm pretty active on there. I keep up with the fans and let everybody know where I'm going, what tournaments I'm going to be at next. So stay tuned there, and I'm good at updating that.
Awesome. And any sponsors, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Innova Disc, obviously, making a great pig. They make an amazing disc. They're a great sponsor, great supporter. Thank Ridge Roller Customs, Shady Ray Sunglasses, and yeah, thank you guys for all your support, and thanks Ace Run for having me on.
Thank you, Ricky, again for taking the time out to film this with us. Thanks as always, Smashbox, for airing these segments. Really appreciate it. And as always, from Ace Run Productions, let's get excited for some disc golf.
Heck yeah. Nice.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.
I think we're ready.
I just wanted to be like Conrad and sneak into the frame.
I love it.
That was great. I got a kick out of that.
Good action. Of course, as always, thank you to Ace Run Productions for going out and taking the initiative to put together these clips to then share them with us. And then in turn, we, of course, want to invite you guys to go out and double check all of the action and content they're putting out there on Ace Run Productions. That was
a really great video, and it made me laugh at the end. So
I love it. And yeah, good to hear a little bit from Mr. Wysocki ripping on his
he's
pig.
been really quiet lately. Kind of has been off the scene. Only getting to that 1054 rating. Gosh.
Right. What did he say? Right where he belongs, I think
where he belongs up at the top.
Very, very very impressive. Man, so
I want to thank Hannah Macbeth.
I know, I was going to tell you, make sure you show that off. She only gave it to me like 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, and I finally got it today.
Yeah, so. I was going through storage, and
it made it to your storage?
No, here's the worst part. I had it in the car countless times, and I thought, oh, I'm coming over on Tuesday night. I'll make sure, and then I would forget to literally bring it inside the house, into the house. And then, yes, at one point it got into storage, and I'm like, gosh, I got to get this thing out of here. I want to make sure to give it to you. I think that was
I would hate to clutter your storage.
I know.
Knowing how your storage looks.
Yes. So, some yeah, we can't have that. All right. Wow. Do we have a heck of a lot here for the regular show, except for another? We have this is a Smashy exclusive sponsorship, additional sponsorship announcement. Eli Bowman, big time Smashy, says he just re-signed with Discraft Underground. So, get it on the board, Ulta World. Make sure to add it to the spreadsheet. Congrats, Eli.
There's not a heck of a lot. I know that one of the things that people are asking questions about is some of the
Eli's agreement,
his
contract,
and what exactly he gets. Now, I don't think
I do want to know what makes up of the underground team and of the street teams and the.
I think the underground team is probably just a disc allotment. You'd have to assume.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'd love to know. I have an idea of what a lot of those look like. There's the ambassador teams, street teams, underground teams, so on and so forth. Very specifically, like this day and age, it's been a while since I dug into them. I would love some concrete details from anyone that could share those. Go on, though.
I was just going to say, some people have asked about the studio space that's going to happen, and whether that's going to be a Smashbox studio, whether it's going to be a Disc Golf Pro Tour studio, what's going to happen. Basically, it's going to be a Disc Golf Pro Tour, Disc Golf Network studio. It's going to be located somewhere here just outside of Milwaukee, or just in the outskirts, or right around Milwaukee somewhere. And it is going to be where, rather than being here in my luxurious basement, we're going to be able to fit, hopefully, a replay guy, me, Mo, Gary doing graphics, hopefully the booth as well is the plan, and maybe another person. And so I'm taking the time right now to kind of spec out all the equipment that we need for this studio, because we're looking at increasing the number of cameras we have by 2 next year. Ace Run, thanks a lot for your super chat, much appreciated.
Our rates went up, though. We're big time. This is a 3-year deal, so if you're going to super chat, we're going to need other color. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Ace Run. I feel like we should be paying you. You give us content.
Don't say that.
Oh, I'm just kidding. We're big time.
Yeah, we're big time. They do it for exposure. That's what all good artists do now. So the studio is going to be the Disc Golf Pro Tour studio. We'll get it all configured. That's not to say that we won't have access to it. There might be times that we do the podcast from the studio. There might be times that maybe if we have a guest come into town, that we go to the studio and kind of set things up there. But for the most part, I'm going to stay here in this basement studio because this is where my alcohol is located, and I don't have to drive then.
Yeah.
So very, very important stuff.
Good idea.
Yeah. And a couple other questions people had regarding our contract in general. I saw, of all funny things, we are locked into a 3-year agreement. In case you didn't know, Terry, we haven't even 100% nailed down pricing yet.
I was under the impression that's just open. We just fill in.
We just fill in the blank.
Every weekend they'll say, "How do you feel like you did?" And then we write a corresponding number into the check, and then we just go cash it, and then we report back what the check was for.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's how you guys do contracts. I mean, that's compensation at its finest. That's how you do it.
So we have agreed verbally, obviously, to a 3-year agreement, but we're still working out just a few of the minor details. Everything from pay to possible bonus structure to whatever else the DGPT can throw at us, because we are clearly, super, super valuable.
I wouldn't go that far.
In other sideline reporting, Terry, if I don't know what the weather's like on hole 1,
that's a good point.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna do more finger licking and putting it up in the air to test.
Can I get like Flava Flav? Can I get a barometer around your neck, like a necklace barometer?
And it reads like humidity, reads the barometric pressures.
We need.
Yeah, the wind, which way it's blowing. That's a good idea. Nova, also big smashy on the board, says that she has re-upped with MVP for 2021, moving from the Orbit, which is the ambassador-ish tier team, to the pro team. So very much in all sincerity, thank you for being here with all of your support week in and week out, and congratulations to your promotion with Team MVP there. It's awesome. I like it.
Sorry, Ray nailed it. I can't believe I missed it. It's the tear barometer.
Yeah,
tear
so
barometer.
Easy.
I can't believe I let that one slip. Ray, you win a free night hosting Smashbox.
Yes, that's a good call. I don't think there's a lot of other. I was going to say, in terms of PDGA news, of course, the national tour, the media works, the more live broadcasting. I know a lot of states continue now to work independently and individually on
get their tour down.
Yeah, their B tiers, their C tiers. I know Wisconsin is trying to get those things locked down, for instance, and I'm sure a lot of other areas are. A tiers, I think, are jumping onto the schedule. I think about the events like the Shelley Sharp, which will be next month in Arizona. I'm super excited to be have some part of that. I'm still working on some of the details. And then also I've been to Maricopa, Arizona for the last 4 or 5 or 6 years now, and also locked into being in Maricopa in a couple of weeks to bring you guys a little bit more footage as well. So looking forward to all of those coming up.
I kind of want to make a comment joke. He'll never hear it, but I really want to make a joke.
I don't know what you're seeing.
I want to give a shout out.
It's not. All right, moving on. I don't know if we have anything else for a regular show here, Johnny.
No, I think we're doing pretty well. I think over the next week or so, we're going to start seeing more sponsorship information, more sponsorship news, and you can expect that as those are released, we will be giving you that hot information. And if you are a player and would like to make an announcement on Smashbox, we are here for you. Ezra Aderhold, the only podcast that gets your name right.
I also know. Yeah, and I guess I just gotta leave it there. I know there are some there's a big one in the works that I don't know that a lot of people see coming.
Well,
that's a very accurate statement. Unfortunately, I have to
between the regular
confidentially
and after show,
leave it at that.
I will strangle it out of you.
No, but there is, I think, at least one very significant one that I don't think anyone sees coming. Is a good way to put it. I know we kind of postulate every single week, like, oh, who's left and who's going to do this and whatever. I think there's a significant one coming that no one's even really anticipating. So that's what I'll throw out there as a little bit of tease. And said individual said details are in the works, and he will get back to me. And he says he's just not quite ready for the announcement yet.
Can he make the announcement on Smashbox?
That's what I'll clarify. I'll do a follow-up. I made the offer today, but I will make I made a reference to an offer, but I want to make it crystal clear with him. Yes, if he would so care to join us and announce it here first, that would be awesome. That could be as early as next week. Speaking of next week, do we have one of the few disc golfers that's taller than you joining us maybe?
Possibly. I believe next week Scott Stokely is supposed to be joining us. He's doing a Christmas special, along the lines of the Peanuts or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It'll all be stop motion animated.
Yes.
No, Scott is doing a Christmas stream where he's going to have a bunch of pros stop in, and he's going to talk about his book as well, and we're going to have him on next week to kind of give us all those details.
All right, my daughter, my 9-year-old, I don't think they have school tomorrow officially. Well, it's like a digital day. Things are a little more lax, but apparently my 9-year-old is out on the board. No GTTO. She's referencing Gary to the O, who it does frequently sit here in studio during regular broadcast, but not necessarily at night when we're doing our do we need Gary to put up graphics for when we're here every Tuesday night?
That would be pretty great.
I think we could get him in here, and
if we paid him full-time rates, he would be in here.
Yes, that would be a
third
good
person.
idea.
I've debated having Gary switch this show so that I can more hard focus on our guests like Dana and anyone else we bring in, because the switching thing is really intense.
Yes, you do it well, though. All right, guys, I think we're going to close it out. There's a little bit of speculation. Maybe we'll jump into some of your responses. I see also Luke Turnbull is out there from Australia. Luke, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, buddy. I also saw Luke Butch. We got all the Lukes. Luke Butch probably coming in from like Singapore or Thailand or some other island over there in that general direction of the globe. Thank you guys to all of our amazing international followers that are tuning in here tonight. The Australian Disc Golf Day finally concluded as well recently. I saw some of the final results for that. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Maybe I can look for a few more of the details, or Luke could share them with me because I'm lazy. We'll talk about that during the after show, as my daughter says. Good day, mate. Yes. All right, guys. We got to thank Dana Vicich for giving us some good insight here tonight. Talking about all sorts of random things going on here in the disc golf community. I don't know what we'd do without that guy and his beautiful beard. So thank you to Dana. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, this has been podcast number 328. Stick around for the after show. As always, we have giveaways.
Patreon.com.
Pick out a number and give them to you. Yeah. Patreon supporters winning free stuff on the weekly. It's a good place to be. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 328 After Show. Nailed that one. All right, guys, we are here in the after show as always. This can get off the rails. This may or may not be disc golf related. That's the official first disclaimer. Also, we very frequently check in with the YouTube chat board. That is the easiest way to get a message across. You might be watching on Facebook. We can also sometimes see those messages. Twitch. But it is easiest and most commonly and frequently seen or discovered if you're chatting with us on the YouTube chat. Also, for the after show, we leave open the super chat feature. We do not shut that down. That is still available. If anyone is interested to finding out how that works, just click on that little $sign. But here in the after show, like I said, just about anything goes. Sometimes it's disc golf related, and sometimes it's other silly subjects, movie, other sports, media, technology,
Other sports.
pop culture.
Giannis, the Greek freak.
Oh,
That
okay.
guy.
Yeah.
Signed his 5-year agreement with the Bucks for the max deal, so to speak.
Yeah, I saw the headline.
Which is great for everybody here in Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
I saw the headline, and what was it called Supermax or is that?
Yes, it's called
so
the
that's-
Supermax deal.
So what exactly does that mean?
I don't know. I don't exactly know. Is that $25 million a year?
Supermax contract. The contract is also commonly called the Supermax.
Oh, that's way more.
The
than
2011 CBA allowed of all the teams that were trying to
228.
lure Durant to offer him the same initial salary of $26.5 million. Now that was 2011.
Yeah, it's $228 million. I thought it was 25 at one point, but that was clearly years ago.
Well, it's funny.
You're looking at $45 million a year, approximately,
That's
including an opt-out after the 4th year. So that is redonkulous. That's a lot of cash, but again, kind of like I say, Giannis has no championships. Kind of like Calvin, but
I was gonna say, is he going to though?
he might. He's the type of player you build around.
Okay.
I mean, he is the, and forgive me, people, but he is the LeBron James. He is that guy that you get while you're young, and if you can find basically one more good piece to put with him, and then you just need a couple players to fill up the rest of the team, you go to the championship. Right now with him and a bunch of, I don't want to say scrubs, but just a bunch of average players, they're making it to like the second round of the playoffs. They can't quite hit that finals yet. He just needs that extra piece, and hopefully he sees what the Bucks are doing, and they're going to try to build around him and it's going to be exciting basketball in the Milwaukee area for at least another 5 years. So I'm not the biggest NBA fan. I kind of tune out until close to the playoffs, and most of the last 10 to 15 years, that means I don't pay attention to NBA at all in Milwaukee. Yeah. But now that we've got Giannis, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and kind of pay attention closer to the playoff time. So
is it safe to say, with as little as I know, which is usual on NBA stuff, is it safe to say that was everyone after him? I mean, everybody would want him, right?
Yes. He would. He basically, you bring him on a team, and he makes any team a playoff team. That's just the way he is, and that's the way it is with the NBA. Unlike baseball, where you need a real team, NBA you need a star. One star gets you more or less into the playoffs. And granted, pretty much everyone makes the playoffs these days in the NBA. It feels like, but that's just the way it works. So.
All right. Well, again, I guess if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan or you're in the Milwaukee/Wisconsin vicinity, you should be excited about that. As you can tell by I don't follow any NBA really at all, so I don't want to say it couldn't mean less to me, but it's just nothing that moves my needle, so to speak. But there's really no NBA news that I think would.
What if Michael Jordan came out of retirement?
Of course, that would be nostalgic and exciting.
I understand
and interesting. I know I mildly got I got when I cared about and saw or took note of Steph Curry's incredible feats or couple of seasons there where his shooting was just insane. Not that it's not always been good. That got me interested. And when there was this crazy amount of wins by Golden State, that piqued my interest barely, but. Yeah, not a big NBA guy.
Tim Courts was telling me earlier, he was on the board saying that season 5 of The Expanse just dropped.
Wow. So what's The Expanse about?
It's a sci-fi show.
Okay.
So outer space stuff.
Yep.
Like some of the
Space Force. The U.S. Space Force?
No, very. I'm going to use the term realistic because it's based in the future, but very realistic style Game of Thrones, outer space type stuff, and that makes it sound cheesy when it's not. It is probably the best sci-fi show on television right now, bar none. Honestly, I can't think of a better one, and I'm really excited because I'll probably burn through that sometime this weekend. Considering it's one of those great shows where I don't have to watch it with my wife, so I can come down here behind the other curtain and just go through about 3 to 4 hours and ignore my family. So that's pretty great.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple quick updates because we had Kinga on the show a few weeks ago, and then Luke Turnbull, one of Australia's greatest disc golf ambassadors, did reach out. He's watching and has a few details saying that Blake Houston playing on the Aussie Open Disc Golf World Tour course and shooting 955 average. Sorry, I'm reading this live for you, Luke. I hope it's all. I was gonna say I hope it's all legit. There were about another 40 players that didn't play and that necessarily were of note. But when I click on the results for the Aussie Disc Golf Virtual, it shows 503 competitors. So that is an incredible feat and accomplishment to everybody over there. Congratulations, Chris Finn, who many of you know as the founder of Dude Sportswear. Chris Finn was your MPO winner, and he averaged 990 golf in the open division, almost 991 golf. So congratulations to him. I think I mentioned it last week already. I knew that Cassie Sweeten is your FPO competitor. She averaged 875 golf to take it down, and so on and so forth. So all the details are out there. Please feel free to go check it out. Actually, I'm going to put it in the chat myself so that if you guys want to check it out, you can. But Aussie Disc Golf Day, I think it was very cool. Great initiative. Of course, perfect year for it, in considering all the situation and whatnot. But very cool to see, and I'd love to see some more stuff like that happen in the future. It just gives such an opportunity for so many people to have this common bond. Just like hopefully we'll then receive see the return of women's disc golf day. Why am I drawing a blank? women's global event. Wow. All right.
For those of you that haven't been paying attention, Smashbox TV again, and I don't normally do this, but it was me. I did it. I edited together the footage. It wasn't Terry Miller. We put out the Calvin highlight.
Yes, we did.
On Monday. So we edited that all together and released it on Monday. It's been getting a lot of really good response. I know some of the other ones we haven't seen. I haven't seen as much interaction with a lot of the comments and stuff. But Kelvin kind of just he brings that fire. The excitement of Kelvin is palpable. So the Kelvin highlights dropped on Smashbox TV yesterday.
How long is it?
I think 6 to 8 minutes, 6-7 minutes like that.
When you're assembling these, because I don't watch them, can I ask, is it usually big putts that are kind of the exciting moments, or park jobs, or just, I mean,
it's mostly putts. I will say that, because those tend to be the most exciting. Like watching someone drop down a 40, 50, 60-foot putt is more exciting, because I think it's because of the completion of the hole, as opposed to someone who drives a 435-foot shot and puts it 12 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just...
It doesn't feel it. Yeah,
it doesn't feel as exciting. Although I do include a lot of those, or some fun, great shots. I'm looking at who the next player is. I edited Kelvin's this weekend, so I need to take a look at some of the other ones. I think that Eagle will be coming up soon. I already did Kevin Jones, Kat, Paige. The funny part is, normally with FPO, I have 4 or 5 players I can edit. This year, it was the Paige show. And so she had a huge majority of the highlights. I obviously Kat had a bunch as well, and I might be able to get a Sarah Holcomb one together for her highlights. But ultimately, it kind of felt like Kat, Paige, and then 2 other people on the card. It was 2 different people for a while. With Missy Gannon, we had Kona on a little bit.
A little bit of Haley King.
A little bit of Haley King. I might be able to get together a Haley King highlight video. I'll have to look at how many I have and how much time it is. And then I also, as always, have the Bad Shots, Bad Breaks video that's already edited, sitting out there waiting to come out. That'll probably come out in a couple of weeks. A really, really great video. It's a lot of fun. You and I were watching it the other night, and you were like almost in tears laughing at a couple of the shots. So that goes to show you how much fun it's going to be. And that'll probably drop in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And that's really nice, because it's totally comprehensive of, not just the lead card, not just MPO, but we've got MPO.
Anytime somebody effed up, you got it.
FPO, second chase card if our camera happened to be there.
Yep.
No, it's everybody. And I think it's about 17 or 18 minutes long of just bad shots. And they really, you wouldn't think that would be great, but there's good shots, which are fun to watch. There's like your average or mediocre shots that are like, no one wants to watch that. And then there's bad shots, and people like to watch that.
Just humanizes them entirely,
It
right?
really
It
does.
just really makes everyone relatable in that sense.
So I'm excited. We'll get those coming out very shortly.
All right. Just to backtrack for one moment, the Blake Houston shout out is because he's only like 13 or 14, and he had averaged 955 golf for the Aussie Disc Golf Day. So nice work, Blake. I certainly don't want to diminish your accomplishment and your nice work out there. Very, very nice. He was one of the juniors playing in the MJ15 division. So nice work out there.
I do want to shout out, if everybody is interested, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV is how you get eligible for the weekly giveaway. Otherwise, you can go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaway or weekly giveaways. I forget the name of the page.
With a Z?
With 3 Zs, like a buzz.
That's a good call. Also,
make it difficult.
I will follow up on that briefly. I think all but one person should be caught up on our giveaways. Sometimes I'll admit they can be a little bit streaky in that I'll get them all caught up, and then it might go 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll get kind of 2 or 3 put together and sent out. Well, today was one of those days. I always like doing it on a Tuesday so I can be excited about announcing it that night. So yes, today I did drop off 3 or 4 people, maybe even 4 or 5 people that had stuff coming to them. I dropped those in the mailbox tonight. So I look to be pretty caught up. If you are still, and this is always a good disclaimer to throw out every few months, and whether it's coming from the Disc Golf Guy or from Smashbox TV, if there's something that you are owed, legitimately owed, that you have been either promised or guaranteed or swindled into or out of, don't hesitate to shoot me a message and send me a reminder. I am never offended by those.
99% of the time, that's Terry's fault. There is a 1% chance that I forgot to give the information to Terry, but it's usually Terry.
With Patreon, no, that's always Johnny's fault. But but I am speaking very generically here. If there's something that you're owed in any capacity, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Cody's chiming in for the first time here tonight, saying, do you have a .com for shipping box purchasing? Reddit was asking, and I'm curious as well. That's a funny question you're asking. I know I've been shamelessly plugging my Disc in a Box, the great shipping box solution for you, whether you're shipping 1, 2, or 3 discs. No, I do not have them on a site directly yet. Most people reach out to me. I've had a ton of people reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram, which is fine. Eventually here, hopefully in the next week or two, I will have a site that you can just flat out go to. It'll probably be like the discgolfguy.com, which I already own, but I want to get a couple items so that if you want to just purchase the boxes outright and you don't even want to talk to me, then I'll send you to them.
I'm going to mute your mic for a second. Okay.
So, yes, thank you, Cody, for asking, though, but I'm going to be fully restocked on even more of those. I have some right now, so I'm shipping some out tomorrow, and if anybody needs some, reach out right away. Be glad to get some out to you. Paper or Plastic wants to be a distributor.
Do you think there is... We're going to talk social media for a few seconds. Because somebody that's been on fire, and take that any way you want.
Alicia Keys. This girl is on fire.
Absolutely not. Austin Hannum doing some hot takes. And he's been doing these for a few weeks. This week, I think...
These are via Twitter primarily or exclusively?
Pretty much exclusively. I think it's the only social media he's on.
Okay.
Kind of set the disc golf world, social media-wise, a little bit ablaze.
Okay.
He got some feedback from people because he put out a tweet kind of along the lines that what Brody was talking about. I think maybe, they had been even talking at some point. And Austin had said how there should be no post-production. And a lot of people attacked him. Like, not necessarily in the best way. Mm-hmm. And I will say, Austin Hannum turned around, didn't necessarily handle it in the best way, coming back at people. Twitter isn't the best platform for a good, thoughtful argument. There's a reason it's only 240 characters, unless you want to go multiple tweets. Do you think that this is good or bad for Austin Hannum in general? Like, the hot takes are one thing, this hot take is another, and then his responses would be a third subject for Austin Hannum.
We all know, and we kind of beat it to death with a little bit with Dana, in that you can make your waves on the course, on the field, and you can make your statements that way with where you perform, how you finish, what you do. That's going to carry so much weight, good, bad, or indifferent. That's going to carry so much weight. And then there's your personality, and that then naturally can spill into whether you're doing a commentary, whether you're going to Twitter or Reddit, whether you're the first to like everything, Jordan Castro style, whatever the case might be. I mean, everybody has, of course, their own style. Whether create a vlog with your wife, in Tina and Eric, whatever the case might be, everybody has nearly endless avenues now in which they can feel comfortable and go about it. So Austin, I find it interesting with Austin specifically because I feel like in talking to him and Kat a little bit throughout the year, they've both admitted they're relatively introverted and very much keep to themselves in a lot of ways. They're not big social media people. That's not a secret. That's not good, bad, or indifferent. That's just who they are, and I fully understand that. Not everybody likes to get in front of a camera and just babble for hours.
Why not? I mean,
because they're smarter than us. So what I'll say to that is I find it interesting that after knowing that outlook, and now Kat, I think, recently made a post saying she's looking forward to kind of stepping outside of her comfort zone and getting more involved in social media.
I saw that. And I'm gonna call a big fat. That's not going to happen.
I think it will, and I think it's great.
I think it would be great.
Everybody should step outside their comfort zone, no matter what it is,
and
or their comfort food zone. In my case, maybe I should step into other.
I hope she does, but I don't think it will be as public as Austin's. I would love to see her more active, maybe on the disc, her game, Respect Your Game platform. But knowing Kat for the last few years, she will probably start out with a post or 2 or 3 and then vanish.
Maybe.
It seems to be her MO, and I hope she does whatever she does do. I hope she fully enjoys it. I hope she has everything in it, but it just seems like she is, I'm going to say above, but she has very low tolerance for a lot of social media. And so I think it's just not in her to do that. Like, I think she can try, but I think she'll get her fill in other ways, and I don't think social media is the cat's meow.
Heyo.
Heyo.
I don't care where any of our players stand on it. If they want to be involved, awesome. If they don't, great. I feel like whatever they feel like is best for their own personal fulfillment and sanity or insanity, whatever it is. Because we clearly have your huge extremes, from the most introverted that would never ever make a post or send a tweet or make a video, all the way to people practically living live on camera. We have everything in between in disc golf. So wherever she and or him want to fall, I support it fully.
Same here.
I think it's great.
I'm fully supportive.
Now, so I guess what I was really getting at is I was surprised to see this, and good for Austin. Now, and I'll say just like the very generic statement of free speech, you can get on any platform and or you can have just like you can have free speech, I feel like, for the most part. You have free speech, but just always know no matter what you say, there may be repercussions that come of it.
Mm-hmm.
And those may or may not bother you either. If it sounds from the little bit I've heard secondhand, I haven't done a ton of looking myself, but from everything I've heard, it sounds like he has been a little combative. I think is that a fair word?
Yeah.
Is that overstating it? I don't want to overstate it.
Combative, defensive. Combative makes it seem like he's on the offense when he's really not. It's more defensive.
Okay.
Usually, because what you have is Austin drops a hot take. Hey, I think players should be drug tested. That was his hot take a few weeks ago, or 2 or 3, whatever. And someone comes back and says, anonymous troll will throw in quotes, says, "Hey, you're an idiot because you think this." Now, the smart move is to just be like, cool, they're already calling me names, I'm going to back off.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't been Austin's play. Austin's play has been to maybe bat the ball back into that person's court with a comment of some sort, and smile it off, like, I don't really care about this person because they're clearly a troll. They're clearly doing something to get a rise out of me. The problem is you gave them the rise, even whether you thought so or not. I fully encourage Austin to keep doing whatever he wants to do and keep putting hot takes out there, keep interacting with his fans. But I think there is a fine line where you kind of maybe need to just know when to just ignore certain posts.
Sure.
And I think he's newer to social media on that aspect, and I think he'll eventually get there. But I have somewhat of that issue myself at times.
Yeah, I mean,
it's different, different mediums. With Twitter, I don't find myself in that position. I do find myself in that position a little bit more on Reddit, where someone comes out and, they will blast me and I'll try to come back with well, maybe you didn't think about this, and this. And someone's like, I think you're a jerk because the way you phrased that. And you're like, all right, whatever, dude. And you kind of just, at some point, just blow it off. I think that's, if I had to give Austin some free advice, I would say just, if you're going to drop those hot takes, be prepared with a good argument behind it, a very succinct argument, and ignore the people who are calling you names, because there's no point in getting into that.
Yeah. No matter what the medium is, we all know that it's really, really difficult to ignore personal attacks, and you get attacked for enough years, long enough, for some things that are occasionally legit but largely not. You hopefully build even and grow even a thicker skin, and you try and do your best, or you have your own response mechanisms. Just know whatever that response mechanism is going to have a repercussion of some kind. It could be a good one, it could be a bad one, but there's going to be some kind of response to your response. And it sounds like he's still maybe trying to dial his in, or maybe he's got his and he's good with that, because it sounds like I read one quote, or I thought I read one statement that just said something. I thought it said him posting saying, like, do you think I care what so-and-so thinks, or do you think I care about fans, or something of that nature? And just know that
I didn't see that particular.
I thought that's what I saw, and I apologize if it was wrong, but I think that's what I saw. And I thought, well, unfortunately, that statement, it might even turn off a lukewarm fan, might turn them off entirely. But he may truly not care, and then so be it. It's a funny time we're living in, because fans now have so much engagement and so much personal interaction and relationship with our competitors, more now than ever. And we all know, and I cannot say this enough, we all know, you go to one tournament and one I say this all the time, one guy is walking from the practice basket to the tee of one, because they tee off in 4 minutes. They have a 1:28 tee time, and they're walking from the practice basket to the tee of one. And in that 200-foot walk, you come up to them with their signature disc, and you say, oh, so-and-so, can I get this disc signed real quick? And they're like, oh, no, let me do it after the round. Just their tone. There's a million things that could forever cement or destroy that fandom right there. And a lot of times I feel unfortunately, I feel a lot of people take it out of context and unfairly react. But point is, that's real more now than ever in disc golf. And, when you have a Tour Series disc that sometimes can be based on your popularity, if, you may not have the most popular disc, but you're a popular person, or vice versa. Like, those are all things that you have to wonder, where are you in your heart of hearts? Right?
Yeah, no,
I mean, do you bite your tongue knowing, hey, I don't want to ruin sales? Or are you more outspoken because it's something you passionately stand for, and you may get backlash for it?
This so gets into the podcast that I always wanted to start. I've talked about it for like 3 or 4 or 5 years, like the disc golf roundtables, because a subject like this, or the one that Mason brings up, can we talk about the disc golf collectors market and where it's heading, good or bad? I wonder if we are running into the time. Are we in the period of, I'm going to equate it to baseball card collecting in the 90s, like the late 80s, early 90s, what they call the junk wax collection, basically, or something along those lines, where when you and I were growing up, the cards we collected at that point, they just started to hit hot, and so they produced a mass ton of them. So the cards that you and I have, the cards I have sitting right in that closet in front of me, are worth virtually nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be the case for disc golf? Are we going to see that with all of these collector discs coming out? Like, just, we've seen Brody's Dark Horse discs. It feels like every 2 weeks they're dropping a limited number. And who knows what that number is? That could be 100, could be 500, could be 1,000. Either way, his most recent one sold out in less than a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Less than a minute.
Yep.
Are we going to see these in, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years be, and I'm going to throw it in quotes, worthless? Are they going to be, and when I say worthless, no more than the value of your regular disc? Like Brody, and I'm not picking on Brody, but Brody's Dark Horse discs, right now you can flip them for probably 2 to 3 to 4 times what they're worth.
Yeah, depending on the disc, of
100%.
course. Yeah, of course.
If you wait 5 years, are you going to get that value? And nobody knows. That it could be. Are we headed that direction? Is it good for the sport? Is it bad for the sport? Is it good for the manufacturer? Bad for the manufacturer? Because right now, I've got a half dozen Pro Eagles in my collection, which are probably worth
KC Pro Eagles.
Probably the white ones that we both had for a while.
Okay.
And probably half dozen of them. Of some of them brand new, some of them slightly worn, some of them relatively worn. They're probably worth $20-$30 is what I'm thinking. Just in general, if they're brand new. Are the discs now going to just are they going to keep these value, or are they going to leave? Are they going to go away? And you're the collector, Terry. How do you feel right now about the collector market?
I hate to say it, but there is such a distinction between, well, maybe it's 100% subjective, which is why I hate to say it. Where is the collector market versus collector, by definition, at this point has become more subjective than ever. And I feel like you used to think, okay, well, that disc either isn't made anymore, or it was a very limited run, or whatever. But now every single week, I feel like whether it's the tournament themselves or the player themselves or the manufacturer, they're always trying to come up with a new combo that hasn't been done before. And is that making the best possible disc, or is that making for a potential valuable disc? And Blake Novacell, thank you so much.
Shout out for the $25 super chat, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Merry
we
Christmas
really appreciate
to
that.
you.
This is Merry Christmas, Terry and Johnny. Great show tonight. Been a pleasure listening to you guys for the past 3 years. Congrats on the partnership with DGPT. Cheers. Thank you very much, Blake. We really appreciate that. I'll insert here Ledgestone Insurance Open.
They just recently released some new discs for sale.
Every week.
I say that every month.
No, I think back to about 4 or 5 years ago, they came out with, and Nate was offering them. Nate the TD was offering them to businesses and to stores and such, and they were offering, for instance, a limited run TI Comet, a limited run TI Zone, Crystal Flex Buzz, so on and so forth. These various limited runs, Black, Midnight, ESP Nukes, and Nuke OSs, Glow. I'm trying to think. I'm going through the list of all the ones I have right now still. And then the very next year, he goes back to Discraft and says, hey, all right, well, we don't have a such and such made in this plastic with this combo. And so they run 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever of that model. And then you multiply that by 10 models. And now every year he has to outdo himself, so to speak, to come up with another model that's not in regular production, but that is specific to that event. Are those all collectibles? Are those just, I mean, some of those discs I think have hit very well, clearly, and some of those have probably, I'm just guessing, just out of sheer numbers or probabilities, have fallen on their face, and everyone's like, I don't really care about that disc. So what makes a collectible at that point? Is it the scarcity? Is it the plastic type? Is it how often and when it's run?
I feel like with us in our sport right now, collectability is one thing, because rarity doesn't seem to matter. Like, or it matters a lot less. Like if you tell somebody, hey, guess what? We're only going to create 500, I'm going to totally mix things up, 500 CE MRVs. We're going to
Yes.
re-release the MRV.
Sparkle.
Sparkle MRVs.
Glow MRVs.
Cool. That's a very limited disc. But does anybody want it? Even if it sells out. Because right now, I made the joke on the board. You could literally throw your name, my name. You could throw it on a signature disc, and they're going to sell out. Because the way plastic is selling right now, it's kind of ridiculous. But it feels like those, like, just because it's a limited edition disc doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep its value. And we're in a very unique time right now where things are very hard to get.
Yeah, and this is just marketing. A lot of this is just clearly marketing in that some people think, and I know I kind of made it wasn't meant to be snarky, although you definitely could read into it that way if you know me. A week or two ago, I made a comment or I made a post somewhere saying the limited Sparkle Run Glow MRV in color stamped infused such and such, like, you're not going to increase your rating by 60 points with that.
We're not even talking about rating.
No, but I know we're not the rating. The point is, people think they need it. That's my point. People think, oh my gosh, I've been throwing. I'll make up a word. I'll make up a word. I've been throwing a destroyer for the last 10 years, but they just came out with the Glow Splatter Destroyer, and I need that, and I will pay $60 for that.
I'm going to disagree with you.
No, but that's what people are doing.
I understand that that's what they're doing.
That's what's crazy.
But nobody
where
is
do you
doing
throw
it
out the
because
market then?
Nobody is doing that because they think it's going to improve their game. Nobody. Not a single person on the internet is buying that disc because they think suddenly they're going to be better because of that disc. Right now, they're buying discs because they want discs, because they want collectability, because they want uniqueness. They hope they can flip it, or they want to have a disc. The joke that people are like, oh, this disc is going to improve my game so much. No, I don't believe that anybody truly believes that right now.
People think they need a disc.
Sure, people think they need a disc, but not because it's going to improve their game.
I think that's why I think a lot of people do feel like I've thrown buzzes for 10 years, and they finally came out with a super snot-nosed, super slick slipstream weighted overmolded buzz.
I think
I've been waiting all my life for this. This is it.
Sure,
I need this.
And they want to have them, but I don't think they're and to try them and throw them and see if it fits their game and see if they are going to love them. I don't think people are truly buying them because they think it's going to like jump their rating that much. Maybe it fits. Maybe they think it might fit a small gap in their bag, but I don't think people.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't think that's everybody, but there's some people that feel like that disc is what they need, and then, well, I mean, somebody can correct me. I think a Night Strike is an FD3. Can somebody confirm or deny that? I own a ton of them, and I don't know for sure. But a Night Strike is an FD3. Why do Night Strikes sell out in 2 seconds then? Is it just because they need? Why do they need that disc so badly? If you can just, okay, what about a Sexton Glow Firebird? People think that is the greatest effing Firebird of all time.
And here's what else. And
how about the Glow Firebirds I have? The color Glow Firebirds with my logo on it that very likely could have came off of the production line. Literally, Sexton's Terry's.
And they
his gets his stamp, I get my stamp. But people lose their mind
because they can guarantee that those Sexton ones are a specific style that maybe they like. I mean, again, Sexton's unique. A lot of it is just flat out collectability at this point. Like, oh, I'm looking for.
But a lot of people say, these are the best Firebirds ever made.
But there are some that think like, oh man, and I don't know, like the 2017s, man, those are the ones because they were just a little flippy, and I threw them forehand, and they
that's what they all say.
I know, I understand that. I understand that, and they grab those because they know that those are that style. Yours could have come off the press literally an hour later in the same mold, but they don't know yours are like that. They know the Sextons because they're popular. They don't know yours are like that, and that's the hard part about disc collecting. You like there is nothing to say. other than Mint, no one's stamping like dates on when these things are pushed out or what mold it's coming out of practically. Like if that were the case, you would see a different market.
But real quick, Chris Carpenter, thank you for the super chat. I love where you guys are going with this. You guys are all amazing. Appreciate it very much so. And Luis Gonzalez also gave $5 and said, I agree with Terry.
I appreciate your $5, and you can be wrong for your $5.
Now, here's what I'll say. If somebody, it's not uncommon to go out to Facebook right now and someone says, hey, just got into the game 2 years ago.
Which is a long time this day.
Yeah. What's the best Firebird out there? Do you want to bet how many people go to a Sexton?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Sexton
cool.
Firebird. Sexton
Firebirds are the best. And everyone knows. I practically own stock in Sexton Firebirds.
Jesus, you have so many.
I could half retire on them, so I'm not ripping on Nate or the situation. It's just a good one to use. My point is, everyone will say, oh, the Sexton Firebird, that's the best. I don't know your skill level. I don't know anything about you, but you need a Sexton Firebird. That person then goes out because of clout,
Sure.
perceived value, and says, oh, where do I get one? I need one. Okay, $125. I need 2 of them. Because they think they need that because that's going to make their game better.
Because they want the best of what's out there. Like if you're going to play, you might as well play with the best. It's like I agree, but it's like walking into Dick's Sporting Goods and being like, which is the best bat? I want the best bat on the market. It's not going to make me hit like Sammy Sosa or Mark McGwire to date myself, but like if I'm going to play, I don't want to play with the crappy one because the crappy one isn't going to do me as much good as the great one is.
But that's funny though, because
that's what these people are looking for. They're looking for, if you're going to play, might as well play with the best. If you have the money and the funds.
The best.
Correct. 100%. I'm throwing that out there.
And that's why I'm saying a 2018 stamp Firebird that's worth $45 isn't the best because the 2015 stamp Firebird is the $350 version. That one's the best.
I understand.
That's where I don't
100% agree with you.
That's where
like, subjective.
To me exactly. When you're talking about bats, for instance, there may be a price difference. There's of course going to be a name brand price difference, just because of name brand alone. There's one's going to cost a little bit more, but you probably are finding you're finding a legitimate quality difference. I'll use a racquetball racket for instance.
But to these people, there
in a $20 one versus a $200 one.
Sure.
But are you finding a difference between a 15 Firebird and a 17 Firebird to someone that's been playing for a year?
No, but again, a $20 racket and a $250 racket to someone that's only been playing a year probably doesn't do them any good either.
Maybe not.
I think it's about the same quality. If you're good enough to notice the difference, you're good enough to notice the difference. If you're not, you're just not going to see it. Like, it's just. The way things work. You could give me the greatest racket in the world in tennis versus a $10 one I get at a garage sale.
So what?
And I'm probably not shooting, or I'm probably not hitting.
You're
the
not
ball.
beating me. Yeah,
I'm not hitting any ball any better.
Okay, so then is it
because you
just
don't
supply
have the
and demand,
skill to use
or
the
is
tool.
it just
You don't
supply
have
and
the skill
demand,
to use the tool.
or is it clout? Then is it still collectability then that we're even talking about when someone says
it's
I need
subjective. It depends.
I need the 2015 version versus the 2018 one, like.
I mean, we're talking about fake people with subjective subjects, and I don't know. I'm just saying that, like,
yes, as Ryan Pilcher says, I will buy any Jawbreaker comments because I need them and they make me better. That is exactly right. Anyway, I don't know where your original question was, but where the world of collectability is, it is funny for the sole fact. Before we went on tonight, I had told Dana that I was digging around in one of my storage units last night, or my basement. And for those who follow me on Instagram, actually I put up a few really funny, and I love that so many of my discs, there is a little bit of a story.
There's a story to you.
To a lot of them.
You're like, half the time your story is like, man, I ordered this and
then I didn't sell them.
It came to my house. I didn't sell them. I was going to bring them to a tournament, but then I forgot. And they sat on the back of my motorcycle for all things. It was weird. I just had them back there for like a week. And then I brought them into
last
storage.
Last night, one of them, I showed everybody a 2004 Surge, the red Discraft Bar Stamp
Yep.
Surge
I know.
2005.
I know
Sorry.
exactly what you're talking about.
And I had said, this is right when I got sponsored by Discraft. And the first thing I ordered were 25 of these. It was the hottest new disc on the planet. I ordered 25 of them, and I remember them getting shipped to the Memorial, which I played in. And I remember like putting 1 or 2 in the water. And I was like, I'm sponsored now. Like, I don't care as much. Like,
See,
such
that's
a
story,
stupid
like,
attitude.
for you. But
What a stupid attitude. But anyway, people have really been seeking out these red surges, and I've known that I have still quite a few remaining. And so last night I came across
anymore.
What's
Honestly.
that?
Like, who's seeking out red surges?
I get Louis Laporta
Okay.
out of
I mean, I'm just thinking, like, in general, I
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
There are going to always be people who are looking for some disc. That's just the way it works. I'm just thinking, like, that red surge probably is not in high demand for most people. It's in
correct.
But the people who want it probably want it very
Oh
badly.
yeah, I'll
100%
get
agree with
messages
that.
after tonight
I'm-
saying, "Will you?"
I know.
Another story that I put up last night. I had a handful of Proto Star stamped minty green Excaliburs.
See, yeah.
First runs. And I said, because he just showed the Protostar on the front, and then I said, can you guys guess what these are? Which no one would have any idea because they've put the Protostar stamp on 1,000,000 discs. I said, the hint is I came off 1 or 2 of these and traded them to David Wiggins, who really, really wanted 1 or 2. And I turned around and it showed it was the Excalibur. Which is just a story to me in that I know David seeks those out. David's one of the few people on the planet that
can
could
throw them.
get full power and a full shot out of something like an Excalibur. And he had messaged back this morning saying how much he loved those or whatever. Like, what I'm getting at, though, is even if I have thousands upon thousands of discs, it's kind of silly how much story to me, and some are more involved than others, but how much story there is to so many of these discs. And that's part of the reason why I have a hard time letting some of them go.
And as
I feel like some of that,
As Christy
leaves me.
M says, that's what every hoarder says. I can't give up this newspaper. Do you realize that this newspaper from September 7th, 1973, that's the day that I got ice cream, and the ice cream, like, it fell off onto my shirt, and that shirt was the same shirt I met my wife in. So I can't. It was a different day. No, I just had the ice cream stain on the shirt. But that's what I think of when I think of this newspaper. And people are like, "Well, is there anything significant in the newspaper?" No, but that's the news. I have to have that newspaper.
but is that newspaper worth anything?
No.
And mine are. That's the beauty of it. These frisbees. Now,
to some
I guess in a long-winded way, what I'm getting at is, think about what Facebook has done in terms of, we'll say, all but replacing for a while the world of eBay, where I was very active at one point selling stock and semi-collectible stuff. A lot of people were very active, of course. That was a major place of distribution for disc golf discs. I feel like it's making a little bit of a comeback right now.
Really, eBay is.
I feel like it is, at least in disc golf. I don't know about all the other products, but I know it is in disc golf. There's still a market out there, but Facebook has now it has worked so many wonders, because when I say,
it feels like
Terry was talking about a red surge on his podcast. I hate that fat idiot, but I know you were looking for a red surge and then tag someone else.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Facebook has
It's
done
kind of
for
funny.
us.
How much Facebook sales are just sales? I'm going to sell this disc. You're going to buy it for a price, not raffle, not because
raffle or
that's-
auction. Those are
because-
the two common.
Exactly. How much of it is just like, to me, eBay is
Auction.
auction.
But there's buy it nows.
There are buy it
And there's
nows,
plenty of
but-
buy it nows on
there's not
Facebook.
raffle. I feel like everything I hear lately on Facebook is more raffle.
That you're a little
maybe-
biased because of the stories I tell you.
Yeah, and agreed. I don't get into this. That type of collecting stuff isn't my life.
Yeah, no, I mean,
because if I find a disc I like, I try to buy it. I used to try to buy 5 of them, and then that lasted me until I probably found a different disc that I loved.
yeah, to me, I mean, there's a couple of sites where it's like you just put up a disc and you say, there's obviously there's different rules on every single page, but there's a lot of people like, first person to say $50 gets this. First person that says
Really? Okay.
$20 get this. Now there might be someone that says, "Hey, I'm putting this up, and it's starting at $1. Or you could just buy it now for 25. And some people, you watch it, and then you watch it get to 20, and then 22, and then sometimes they'll go past it because people are silly or there's funny rules to it. But there's a, I feel like every possible selling format you can think of, just about, has touched Facebook now at some point. Whether they're the raffles or auctions or reserves, where someone's like, hey, I'm putting this up for 24 hours. And, there's a minimum on it for $100. And then inevitably the first post is, I'll give you 12. And I just want to punch those people. When somebody's very clear about a minimum they want for it, and someone isn't like, oh, I'd like 100. And someone says, will you take 90? No, someone says, I'd like 100. And will you take 16 shipped? Like, shut up, you ass. You're wasting everybody's time here. But there's every format you can imagine.
I believe that.
Or there's some people that'll say,
it's internet.
I'm thinking about selling this. This is an interesting one. People will say, I'm thinking about selling it. I'm going to put it up for the next 24 hours. And then at a certain point, they'll say, okay, it's now at an amount, this or more, that it will sell. So in your head, you say, hey, I'm not selling this for under $100. It's gotten to 100, and in your head you're saying, okay, it's going to sell. I don't know what it's going to sell for, but I'm going to for sure commit to now letting it go.
So let's steer this conversation into a post that you made today. Right now, manufacturers are struggling to keep up with demand, but it feels like a lot of manufacturers, or a few of them, are putting out more collectible, and I'm going to again throw that in quotes, discs, unique discs, sales discs that are specific to players.
They're not stock.
They're not standard
non-stock
stock,
items.
Non-stock items, and they're selling out like wildfire. Because right now anything pretty much sells out like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
But what have you learned from the post you made? Like, I saw a bunch of people that are clearly upset, but as we know, if there's $1 to be made, we can't blame people for making that $1.
To some degree.
I mean, assuming it's legal
you have to have some moral fortitude and compass.
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not.
And everybody, I saw Madison Walker, her tour discs are out. Are for sale right now, or at least they were at least a few days ago.
Stop. No, well, then they're out.
I don't know that. But if they are, go buy them.
Yeah, no, if there's usually we're at the point where any tour disc that gets released, for the most part, if it's at all a remotely popular person or item, it sells out within sometimes minutes.
Is Madison Walker popular anymore?
I never liked her, but apparently some people
some people still like her, but
all right.
And I only joke about that because she's been off the scene for a year, and it feels like, I think I made the joke to you, right now every year is about the same as 5 years, because with as frequently as players are coming in and out.
So, and I don't want to say I'll totally take back what I was just saying, but to clarify,
Miller.
No, here's a timestamp. We can timestamp this now. It does say that she has some available. However, and this is imperative, they're Swirly Star TL3s. I don't know how popular overall Swirly Star TL3s are.
Apparently it doesn't matter, is what we've said.
But they're all 156 to 159.
Guess they're lighter.
So that is clearly steering the ship as to,
and they're great discs for younger or newer players or women.
But they're they're not going to be considered nearly as popular simply because you never hear an Eagle or a Simon or a Paul or a Kevin Jones saying, "Yeah, I can't wait to throw my 152 gram fairway driver."
Is there? Wow. I don't know how to phrase this.
The mold does make a difference, and then the popularity of the person, and then on top of those things, the actual artwork, the weight, but then also the artwork can make all of those things factor in. I mean, let's face it: if you have a destroyer from Innova, it's going to sell quicker than if you have a wombat. Period.
One of the old, and I don't want to say call it a fallacy because it's not. I don't know this, that if a woman's name was on a disc, it didn't sell as well. You're on that Tour Series disc. I see 4 discs out there. Every one of them is an FPO player.
Mm-hmm.
You give that same disc to Calvin Heimberg and that same weight, practically the same stamp, does it sell?
Yes, sells better.
Okay, so because there's an FPO person, because it's a Jen Allen, the one you happen to be looking at, Tour Series disc, regardless of what the weights are, regardless of the fact that she's the furthest throwing female player on the planet, it doesn't sell.
As well. Yeah, I mean...
That there's discs out there. It's
yeah, right, wrong, fair or not.
I'm not saying it's fair or not. It's a little sickening to me, considering how much people are complaining about discs not being in stock for them. And there's these
yeah, but
discs
I mean, to be fair though, a 153 T-Bird TL3 just is not going to be, like I said, as popular as a Wraith, as a max weight Wraith or a max weight Destroyer. They're just by nature.
I understand.
It's not as popular of a mold. So I mean, molds matter.
I agree, molds matter.
But if we were to, yes.
But again, you take that exact same disc and you throw Kelvin's name on it, it's gone. The exact same disc.
Probably it will go quicker. I mean, if you want to get into the inequalities and the sexism within disc golf and life, I mean, that's
I know.
That's another story. Because yes, it's there.
It's sad. It's sad to me. But so here's all right. And I'm sorry I took us off on that little side jag because you were surfing the net next to me. We talked to Steve Rico a little bit. You mostly talked to him about some sales and disc stuff because you kind of wanted to get a general idea. Can you blame the manufacturers right now for doing what they're doing? Because if with a limited, this COVID thing has pushed disc golf to new limits. Manufacturers, I think we talked about it last week. Wow, it's been about a year. This week has been about a year. Are probably struggling for manufacturing space, labor, plastic, whatever they're getting is probably more of a struggle than it has been in the past.
Fair.
Can you blame them for selling A, direct to customer, B, their highest valued items where they're going to make the most money as opposed to putting out stock stuff? If they're selling, let's just say, stock to a wholesaler at, I don't know, 5, 6, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever that number is, dollars, can you blame them for then going like, no, we're going to, this is a stock disc with a special stamp on it. Can you blame them for taking that special stamp, throwing it on there and making, 3 times the money they normally would right now? I mean, I
think you have to just ask
more into this than
you have to ask where are the priorities? And no, I'm not running an Innova or a Discraft or a legacy payroll with dozens or hundreds of people on it and have all that overhead. And of course, I cannot answer all of those questions. I understand it's simple, as you're saying, it's simple economics. You can sell. They're all running, whether it's 24 hours or 18 hours or whatever it is, they're all running as many discs as they possibly can be running at the moment. And then when you get 10,000 discs made and you have all these shops and all these distributors and all these people that want to buy them and you sell them to them at a wholesale price, or maybe you run some more popular models and you run 10,000 or 5,000 of those, and then you put them straight up on your own website and sell them for 4 or 5 times what you would have sold those other ones at a wholesale price. Those are simple economics, and I understand them. Blame? I don't know if that's for me to say. It's just something. It's an observation.
Because I feel like I've seen in not just your post, but some other places, people, manufacturers, not manufacturers, resellers. Whether you are a brick and mortar, whether you're an internet, I have seen people that are getting frustrated with the manufacturers for this type of sales tactic, better or worse, that we can't get your and I'm just gonna throw it out there, you can't get a stock buzz right now to save your life, and maybe you can, I don't know, I'm making this up, but guess what? Brody has a bunch of dark horse buzzes that come out and sell out in a minute. You know,
instead of
at $20 a pop, or whatever they are. And
sure,
and not picking on Brody, I
no, just
you know,
one example.
And I don't know from the manufacturer's perspective, I don't know what their obligations are. If they have specific obligations to Brody that say we need to sell X amount of your fundraiser discs per month, per year, or whatever, maybe these are things they have to do in order to meet their obligations. And too bad, so sad, everybody else. But I will say right now, it feels like every machine should be running 24/7 with whatever plastic you're getting in and get it out. That's how it feels right now. Like you grab your most popular molds and start making them, whether in whatever plastic you can get a hold of, because they seem to want to be selling. And maybe the manufacturers are gun shy because it's December, and in the past December has been a weak sales month for them because it's winter in the north and you get less people go outside. And I don't know all the logistics, but I saw people on your post that were
frustrated. Yeah, and let's be very clear. This is not to pick on.
No,
I'm not. I was raising. Yeah, anyone. I
or...
was raising the question, and I feel like I come from a little bit different perspective. I do not own a brick and mortar, so I do not have that overhead, and I understand how plenty of people do. I do not rely on disc sales as a primary source of my income. In fact, I think somehow it negatively affects my bottom line every year because of my hoarding problem. So I understand those perspectives. You know, a lot of people are coming from different, and then there's people who just found disc golf, and as one person has said, yeah, they found disc golf a year ago. They've got, whether it's their own or mommy and daddy's Amex card, I don't care. They've got a credit card.
It all spends the same to you.
Yeah. Well, they have a credit card, and they're going to start up a brand new disc golf shop, and they want to have every mold and every manufacturer times every model and weight and color and whatnot. And they just got into selling. I mean, everyone is in a slightly different stage. So clearly, I think the older or more invested and long-term you've been, it probably eats at you more so than if you're newer and you don't know otherwise. Mm-hmm. Think about all the people that got into disc golf in this year and are like, oh yeah, I'm just used to, you know, there's a disc I need. I need a Brody Smith Crystal Z Flex Buzz Holiday Sparkle Edition, and I need to get that. That's going to make me throw better. And so they go out and they know it's a flurry to buy it, and that's all they've ever known. That's very different than 5 years ago when we didn't have this shortage or this problem. So, and as you said, there's been a lot of varying responses on my page, and I empathize with all of them.
Yeah, so do I.
Everyone has, you know, some people said on my response today, they said, I think manufacturers should be doing more to help the smaller disc golf pro shops because they're the ones that are struggling the most, and they really need some of these discs to help keep sales going, as opposed to some of the larger online stores, like I'll say like an OTB or an Infinite Disc. If they're getting access and getting way more discs, that's not really fair because we need them more than the larger stores who are doing better.
But I know. Flip the argument. Congratulations. OTB has way more power than you do, and if they decide that they want to start advertising another manufacturer's discs and it's going to hurt your sales, you're going to want to make that person feel better. So sorry, small potatoes. You are small potatoes.
Well, and that continues this very vicious cycle of, just like I said to Steve Rico, everybody thinks they're more important than the next person in need. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told him. I said, Steve, clearly I am the most important in need here. And then you prioritize after that.
I mean,
no, but everybody thinks that. And I understand where everybody's coming from. And at the end of the day, the manufacturers have to make legitimately tough decisions to say, we're going to go this route. We're going to choose to support this person, or we're going to, I'll use Discmania as an example as I purchase from them. They've had a few runs this year where they said, we have a limited amount of these discs that we're able to get produced, and we're only offering them to you if you have a brick and mortar store. If you have an online store, or if you sell out of your trunk, we love you, but you don't get access to these discs. These are exclusively going to brick and mortar stores to generate in-person hopefully in-person traffic and whatever. There's been other times where they've come to us and they've said, and just as an example, they've said, we only have this many discs. Rather than having 3,000 people all try to fight for 3,000 discs, we're just going to sell them on our own website on our own, and then you guys can all bicker among yourself, and we're going to only sell them one per customer to each customer, direct to customer. That's another way to do it.
Yeah. You and I have had this discussion before.
Correct.
About the direct sales method from manufacturers, and I have said, because I have no skin in the game, I've said tough luck to everybody other than the manufacturer. Like, does it suck for you? Yeah, but guess what? If the manufacturer can make 50% more by selling directly to the customer, cool, go for it, manufacturer. You have, there is unfortunately most times zero loyalty in business. You are looking out for yourself. Number one, the bottom line. You want to make sure that your company is making the right decisions in order to further your company and product. And sometimes that, that's not always the way you further your company or product. Isn't always the number one bottom line. Sometimes it is working with smaller manufacturers, people who have been there with you. You need to weigh that business decision. You need to make that decision for yourself. If you think, hey, guess what? Terry Miller has been selling discs out of his trunk for the last 25 years at a course in town. Great, we're going to support him. Or maybe you say, we don't give two craps about Terry Miller, who sells, 200 discs a month for us. When we have so-and-so next to us that's selling 2,000 discs a month, we want to go to him. Whatever that case may be. It sucks, but as I said, I'm a fan of doing whatever you need to do to make your business the best and most efficient and most profitable, so you can continue to move on. That's how I feel like we run Smashbox. We have loyalty, but only up to a point, and that's the way every business should run. Like you want to be loyal. I feel very fortunate that I work for a company for my 9 to 5 who takes loyalty very much into case. We work with a specific bank to do all of our leases. We could probably get a better deal with a different bank, but it's a bank we've worked with for 15 years, and we know who they are. We've worked with their people. We are very loyal to that particular bank, when we could go to another bank and probably get a slightly better deal that would save us.
Yeah, so I feel like you're contradicting yourself, though, because you just got done saying you should do what's best for your business.
Correct. And again, that's the business I work for is very loyal. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do that. And
so you want to be ruthless.
If you have to be, if that's the case, and every business has to make that decision, because if you're not in a position where you can make that decision, where you need to be ruthless, you need to do it. Like, if that's what your bottom line requires, if that's what makes you stay afloat for another 6 months, then you do that. I'm fortunate that, like I said, the company I work for really does take in loyalty into effect, and I wouldn't trade my 9 to 5. Well, that's not true. I would trade my 9 to 5 if I got a way better offer, but I can. We were talking earlier about our Smashbox contract. I'm not leaving my 9 to 5. It's not. We're not there yet, and it's the manufacturers right now are in a difficult position because they can't fulfill all the orders, and they have to make some tough decisions on who they want to go to. And I saw people on your board complaining that, like, there was somebody, and I don't mean to offend her, but she was saying, well, I don't think it's fair that anyone with a credit card can be a distributor now. Like, cool, congratulations. The way I looked at it, like, that's what supported these companies for 25 years. A guy with a credit card in the back of his truck or a garage. Where do you think OTB started? A credit card in a garage, probably, or a house that they loaded up. Cool. Like, it's really funny how suddenly, when the sport now is starting to really hit, and I'm going to throw it in quotes, hit big, people are really starting to try to buckle down to say, no, I've been here. This is my money.
Well, correct. And it all comes with the perspective of where you are in the process.
Where you're going.
Yeah, I fully, that's why I say I love the longevity I've had, because I recognize I once was that guy with a credit card. And then when you become established, whether it's in your area or you become established within the community, physical or figurative community, then you think, well, wait a minute, I don't want the next guy coming in, next guy or girl or company, and why are you selling to them? It's all part of that progress.
It really is. And I've said it here on the podcast before. If the manufacturers turned around and just said, cool, we're done with any distributor that isn't as big as Dick's Sporting Goods or something, I would say, cool, good for you guys. Good luck. Like, I hope it works out for you. Sell your discs on your website. If you've got the manpower to box up all those discs and send them out and do what you can, that's cool. You're going to make a lot of people mad. But if guess what? If that makes your company the #1 selling disc golf company in the world, maybe it's worth it.
And I think to put this to bed, I think the big takeaway from even my thread was that people, whether it's myself or others or the companies that are out there right now, could or should at least take notice of what they do or don't like about policies from these manufacturers. If you love how a manufacturer is currently handling this situation, you can tell that, you can share it with them, you can share it with your friends, or you can continue to, you could double or triple down on their inventory and or their processes and procedures, and that's how you continue to support them. Or there's a lot of people that have their own businesses that are now making a conscious decision to say, hey, whether it's right now or in the long run, I'm going to back away from that company. I didn't like how they handled that process. And of course, there's going to be repercussions from that, which may be felt or may not. There's if Innova has 10,000 customers right now that are buying discs, and they lose 1,000 of them out of some frustration or something, they lose 1,000 of them. Will the other 9,000 just make up for it, and it may or may not feel impacted? Who knows? Maybe going from 10,000 down to 9,000 will be a blessing in disguise to them. Because
it's so difficult right now because
no one knows.
Because the expansion of our sport, like I feel like the manufacturers are really padded as far as what is going to happen because everybody just wants. Everybody wants. That's all they want right now.
I just want the best deals and special treatment.
As you should get them because you're the disc golf guy.
I mean, I gave myself that name. I feel like that should come with some perks.
Well.
Okay. All right. So just a couple comments off the board. I saw Paper or Plastic Sports and Games, a retailer in Illinois, says, is it time for disc golf distributors so that manufacturers don't have to sell direct to retailer or consumer? Or is that antiquated? Is it time for disc golf distributors?
Is it time for disc golf distributors so that manufacturers don't sell direct to retail?
I don't know if I follow what you're...
Is it time for disc golf distributors, period?
Oh.
So that manufacturers don't have to sell direct to retailer or consumer? Or is that antiquated? I don't know. It feels like the model right now for a lot of things are direct to consumer. So if you're the manufacturer, you have the ability to go direct to consumer. And I know a lot of third party, like we'll say a Terry or whoever else sells your local discs, don't like that. But if Innova could replace the sales they got from OTB, why wouldn't they? If they had the manpower and the warehouse space and all this other stuff, and they said, we got 5 guys here, it makes more sense for us to sell directly out of our warehouse than to ship it to them so they can sell it. I couldn't blame them. I would say, cool, good for you. You are moving your product to a different method, and man, knock it out of the park. I hope you succeed. Like,
sure,
that's just the way it works. And that's business.
And I think we beat that to death a few years ago.
So
that
is the distributor game. Is it time for the distributors? I don't know. Like that's maybe distributors feels antiquated because, like I said, the way to do things is sell direct to consumer. That feels way more modern than a middleman.
It can, unless you're talking about all the other downsides, including space.
I mean, we're talking fantasy world stuff here.
All right, let's do a drawing since you've got it up. Oh,
I do have it up.
Oh, you have it on that screen. Okay,
well, I've got it on both screens here. We have 202 people eligible for our giveaway tonight. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. As I said last week, if you are a Patreon supporter thank you. If you're a Patreon supporter of somebody else, take a look at what you're getting from them right now and then come to us. Because honestly, come on.
We're sure to disappoint.
Who's doing anything right now other than us for Patreon supporters?
Lots of people.
Shh. No, just Smashbox, Terry.
Okay, we'll go with that.
We're playing. This is what's called a sell.
Oh,
Trying
okay.
to sell them.
All right. Well, tonight's giveaway is sponsored, in fact, by Brody Smith. So just reach out to him and tell him that we sent.
We could do that.
That would be so funny.
How great would it be? Just every week we pick a different pro. Like,
say, hey,
like Brody Smith, reach out
send
to
them
him and tell him that thing.
How did we not think of this till
Oh,
now?
man. Next week is Yuli.
Yep.
Yuli, please reach out to Paul Ulibari.
And the week after, Madison Walker will be giving something away.
What's Yuli's website?
I don't know.
It's got to be like ulibari.com, right? Or,
I don't know what it is.
all right. Send an email to paul@ulibari.com and tell him Smashbox sent you.
Sent
and
you
that
for free
that he owes you
giveaway.
something.
Oh
No, patreon.com/SmashboxTV. Once again, we love our supporters the most. Because of you, we are, I'm going to steal this line from somebody else, loud, live, and independent. We don't take money from anybody else.
We do. Disc Baron supports us. Thank you, Disc Baron.
We have no
Miles,
commercials.
you're going to support us. Send us some money.
We have no commercials on our thing.
Not yet. We should.
So we have 202 people eligible for our giveaway tonight.
Oh, people want to know what their number is. The best part is the numbers change
every week.
Every
I
week.
sorted it this week by donation amount. So up at the top is $1. At the bottom is 15. We have someone who's doing $15 per creation. I think they limit it, but we still love them way more than anybody else.
Wow. Thank you very much.
And then
thank you.
And then I added at the very, very bottom the people who signed up at smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways. And I take everyone from the last week. I delete everybody else. So
all right, let's do it. We're going to have this massive giveaway. I'll come up with something. Now that I'm all caught up, if I can find a disc, maybe I'll send you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to lie. Tonight I was getting ready to give something away, and I looked. I had to look through like 2 bins because, this is going to sound like a jerk.
Yeah, you already are.
All of that stuff was like too expensive.
Too good.
Like we're clearly not sending you junk, but you know, I'm also not likely sending you a $55 disc either. We'll find something nice to give you, or maybe a clothing item if I have your shirt size.
Because if somebody has stock discs, it's Terry Miller right now.
I do have stock discs, and I have collectibles.
And Terry sells direct to consumer. He does not.
Yes.
He bypasses the middleman.
And if you need boxes, you know where to come.
All right. So 202, Terry. What number should we draw?
Oh, wow. This is always the toughest part.
If anyone can guess the exact number that we draw, I will send them a disc. It's got to be out. It's got to be up on the board before.
Ooh, people better really get on it. We'll give them just a moment.
Entry. You get one entry.
The first entry.
If I see 2, I swear to God, I will block you.
Yep. You get just one entry. Let me think. How can we arrive at tonight's number?
Come on, Terry. They're giving them a lot of time to put in numbers.
I know. This is you are losing. You are losing by the moment. I did pick up a whole bunch of older collectible and weird discs this weekend. So we'll talk about that.
I do want to hear
how
about that.
Let's just go with number 4. Number 4 is
our
not a
fourth
number we
drawing.
use often.
Between 1 and 202. So our first number.
Are we going to officially call it off here?
171. Our second number is 25. Our third number is 19. And our fourth number, if it matches somebody on the board, they will get a disc.
Matthew is our last official entrant into that. Nope. We'll go with
fourth number is
fake PDJ is the last possible number.
Does anyone have 51? I'm looking on here. I'm scrolling up. I see a 31, but no 51. I'm sorry, but 51 is the answer to the world. Actually,
31, 161, 121.
There was no 51. I like that game.
There's a 15 who's going to probably claim that they want it.
Too bad your fingers are too fast. You put them in the wrong order.
There you go.
But tonight's winner is Bart Welch. Congratulations, Bart Welch. You are our giveaway. Terry will give you 3 first-run Doombirds and 6
I only have the Doombird 2s, the original Night Shrikes, which I just found. Those are great. The Doombird 2s and the Night Strikes were in the same bin, and I'm not going to say I have a ton of them, but I have a ton.
But you got a few. You got a
Apparently
lot, more
they're
than a
valuable.
few.
And I found a Discmania box I haven't even opened yet. I was telling Dana that. It's from last year. It might be Iron Samurais. I don't know how many, if your friend Benjamin has met my friend Iron Samurai, but they might have to. I don't know. I could maybe come off one or two of those if I had to. First run ions. That's a great question, Aaron. I have some very, very, very early ones, and I think I researched this a few years ago when I came across them. I have 3 that were completely blank, and I posted them somewhere in an MVP-related area, and people are like, those aren't quite like the very first ones, but they were close to it, and they're still super valuable, but I don't think they were the very, very first ones.
They're the ones MVP Steve chiseled out of plastic back in the day.
And I thank you, Chris. You're calling me out, and you're dead right. I was saying I know it's a Night Strike, but I was inadvertently just now saying Night Strike. So you are absolutely right. I do have the Night Strikes.
No, Terry actually has the Night Shrikes,
yes,
which are
even more valuable,
more exclusive. They're so exclusive they were just made for him.
No, you were absolutely right. I was incorrectly saying. I was mixing up my models right away. I know it's a Night Strike, but I was saying Night Strike.
Turn the Night Strike with a little marker. You too can have a Night Strike. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to thank Dana Dynamite Vicich, who joined us for the entire portion that he was on for.
Yes. That's the role he fills.
A lot of it, and gave us a lot of good insight. We love having Dana on.
It's all right.
You want to close out the show here, Terry?
I guess. I thought you were going into it, but I will for us.
I just want to thank Dana.
Yeah, as he said, like to thank Dana, but also all of our incredible people that tune in just about every single week. So many recognizable names and faces out there, and these great logins. You guys keep us entertained, hopefully as much as we entertain you. And also to all of our super chatters, I think your information will pop up during the final credits. But we had a healthy amount of super chatters. My daughter will be able to finally get that rechargeable pack she needs so that she can do her homework on her laptop tomorrow. So it's going to a good cause, I promise. This has been podcast after show 328. We will see you again next week. We're going to have Scott Stokely and maybe others, but that looks like it'll be, the 22nd. So as we get closer to Christmas, we'll still be giving you some action.
And remember, don't subscribe to ultraworld.com, but we'll be there this week.
Yes, we'll be out there. We'll talk with them tomorrow, and it should be fun. Who knows what dumb stuff I'm going to say. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy,
Calvin
and Dana
forever!
in our regular show. I love it when Johnny V's wrong. We'll see you next week when he's wrong again when you step inside the Smashbox.